The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of the Barbers Chat Network, our great partners at H&B Media, or any of our media peers. We're just five idiots who love sports and love to talk shit. If you're offended easily, then this show isn't for you. And for those who aren't offended easily, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Remember, it's only entertainment.
So cool.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold. My agent just said we made 100 flat. Make it back and make it stack. This like no Steven Jack. Put my rings up in the camera like I needed that. Up in the air and at the rim is where I meet them at.
I'm always putting the shit on mute to start off. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a Monday edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. It is your guy, Scott. You know to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BarberChatScott. Follow the Barberchat Network at BarberChatNet and subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/BarberChat Network. Man, we are here. It is Monday, January 15th, 2024. Happy Martin Luther King Day to everybody out there, man. We've got a packed show for you here today, man. We got the whole crew in the house for the first time in God knows how long. We got Courtney, we got Dante, we got Mikey, and we got Bang. We're gonna let him in a minute. No Patreon show today because the NFL scheduled 2 games today because there's so much snow in Buffalo. So we're gonna at least get through the first half probably of that game, and we'll be going on for about 2 hours, and then we'll get back to doing overtime on Friday. Of course, Wednesday we got the Patreon show, man. So let's just start this off with my sound off, man. Only the Chicago Bears could ruin my motherfucking weekend and not even play. Only the Bears could do this. This past weekend, we'll get into a full review later on in the show. But this past weekend, we saw not one but 2 NFC North division foes advance to the next round of playoffs. Packers gave the hands of God to the Dallas Cowboys, and then we also had the Lions. The Lions do what they need to do against the Los Angeles Rams, man. So as a Bears fan, I was going through the motions this week because I'm just tired of seeing this shit. You know, I am 35 years old. The last time the Lions won a playoff game, I was 3. So I understand what their fan base is going through, and I also probably sound like a spoiled Chicago fan, considering the pain that I've gone through is nothing compared to the pain that Detroit Lions fans are going through. I understand that. One thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way yesterday was the amount of Bears fans who are wishing well on Detroit Lions fans. And yes, I am talking about my brother, co-host of the 79th House podcast and co-founder of Barbershop Network Flows. We had a nice heated discussion about this. His thing was that there's never been a rivalry between the Bears and the Lions. While he's not wrong, they've been sorry for that long that I always feel like everybody in the North has looked at the Lions as the little brother, you know, never really paying them attention. Well, little brother's gotten a little strong now, and this nigga's gotten his life on track, while big brother is still looking like Eddie Kane Jr., as I'm going to use what Bane just used, as these niggas don't know what the fuck they're finna do. So I'm not saying that there's a legit rivalry like there is with the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. We don't need to be up here congratulating these niggas. Like, what kind of shit is this? You just move on. Like, I just don't hate them. I don't need to be having the love fest that we saw on Twitter last night, man. And then as far as the Green Bay Packers, as I see my homie B Dot in the chat, I'm gonna let you get your shit off because at this point I have nothing else. You know, if I was as dominant, if the Bears was dominant over the Packers as y'all was, I'd be saying the same things. And I have seen quarterback after quarterback, Brett Favre then kicked our ass. Aaron Rodgers then kicked our ass. It has just been a repeated circle. And then we came in here all season, majority of us, not my co-host Mikey, who we'll get into a minute, who said that Jordan Love might not be bad. And there was a point where Jordan Love was a little shaky at some points into the season, but then he got better. Do you know since week 11, this nigga has thrown 19 touchdowns and only one interception? That's enough. That's more than Justin Fields has thrown all damn season. And I'm not trying to get into a Justin Fields conversation. Of course, you will get into later to show that's just what we do as Bears fans. And also, Caleb Williams is officially declared for the draft. But I'm just fed up with it. I just want the Bears to do well. I saw how excited Detroit looked yesterday, and I want to feel that again, man. So I'm going to bring in the rest of my esteemed colleagues here as we get into a kind of a group discussion in this. First of all, I want to apologize to Courtney. She saw just how downtrodden we were yesterday.
It was embarrassing, actually. I was a little embarrassed on your behalf.
It wasn't just, it was all of us. We were all going through it. But I'm gonna give it to Mikey first, because Mikey, you the one who kind of called the Jordan Love thing. What was going through your mind when we were watching this weekend?
Well, I mean, he wasn't necessarily bad in college. He just went to a small school. You know, he was somebody that Green Bay took a shot on. They saw the potential, and they had the luxury of sitting him behind a future first ballot Hall of Famer. And that's just what that organization does. You know, I was talking to your brother last night, and he was just talking about how the Green Bay Packers as an organization and even their fan base, they have patience. They have something that no Chicago sports fan has, and you know, I'm guilty of it too. Like, we want it now, but the Packers had the luxury of drafting Jordan Love, sitting him, letting him learn and grow behind Aaron Rodgers, and not only that, while in the shadows, you know, Matt LaFleur was grooming him to be the next up. Matt LaFleur was ready to move on for Aaron Rodgers. He was dying to move off from Aaron Rodgers to let motherfuckers know, like, no, I could win with Shorty, you know, like he's actually good. So I saw it in the preseason last year. I saw it in 2022, was it? Late last year when he came in for Aaron Rodgers, when Aaron Rodgers got hurt against the Eagles, and he looked like he belonged. He really looked like he belonged. So I'm not really shocked. I'm shocked at the numbers. Because obviously that's some shit no Chicago Bears fan has ever fucking done, clearly. But he gets it, and it's crazy, you know. The Packers, they traded for Brett Favre in 1992, but every single year after that, they still drafted quarterbacks. The Patriots have drafted more quarterbacks since 2010 until now than the Bears have. And think of that timeline window. Who was their quarterback for the majority of that decade? It was Tom Brady. They were winning rings. So the Bears just continuously get it wrong, and it's just from an organizational standpoint, and the Packers continue to get it right because they have patience and they know what they're doing. They're not rushing to get, you know, somebody on the field right away.
Bang, man. You so illustriously said this season, and nobody gives a damn about the Detroit Lions. How are you feeling about what you said and what you saw from our NFC North rivals this week?
I still say it. Don't nobody give a damn about the Detroit Lions but the Detroit Lions. Now, if they get to the NFC Championship game, it's a different conversation. But nobody gives a damn about the Detroit Lions but the Detroit Lions. However, I don't agree with your brother with the rivalry thing. And I think it's a matter of age. Because if you're my age, you remember Barry Sanders whooping our ass in the 90s, fam, in the early 90s. Go look at that little clip where he did the reverse, back it up, reverse, left side, up, down. He basically gave us the Contra code when he hit our ass. You got John Roper and Barry Minter out there looking crazy and shit. No. In the 90s, it was a rivalry between the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions, to the point where I don't like them because I don't like Barry Sanders because he embarrassed our ass any chance he get. With that being said, man, it hurt for me too. Like, I feel like
not to cut you off, man, but you ain't really You ain't even really gotta go that far. You can them Stafford Megatron teams was kicking the Bears' ass too.
That
like
too,
when they was
yeah.
making the little wild card appearances. Like I remember in 2011. I think it was 2011 the year the Bears started 7-3, and then Jay Cutler fucked up his thumb because he got into a fight with who else? The Detroit goddamn Lions, and that was a team that I felt that really could have did well that year. So you don't have to go that far. We'll continue.
Yeah, so it sucked to seeing Green Bay and Detroit winning on the same weekend in the goddamn playoffs. It was terrible seeing that. And it takes me back to Ryan Poles' first press conference where he said that we're going to win the North. Now, before anybody go anywhere, I'm not shitting on Ryan Poles here. But he said that the goal was to win the North. I'm going to give y'all another analogy, right? So you had Green Bay and Bears. Let's look at the 80s, early 90s. You had Green Bay and the Bears winning those divisions, doing great. Right, it was one team that actually, if you look at, it was on Get Up this morning, where the question was which team has lost the most in the divisional round, and it was the Minnesota Vikings. If Green Bay continues to be Green Bay because they got their quarterback, and then you got Detroit doing what they're doing with not only a quarterback but a team, we stand to be like the Minnesota Vikings that just pop up every now and then and win some shit. Like, if I'm Ryan Poles, I'm looking at this weekend like, what the fuck is going on? I didn't mean to say what I mean to say, what I said during the press conference, because now it's going to look bad because you have two young teams as well. Detroit is not an old team. The only chance we got with the Detroit situation is if Ben Johnson is really the person that's moving the needle instead of Dan Campbell. Because when this man is the head coach of like the Washington Commanders or whatever, you would hope to see a drop on the offensive side of the ball. And I don't know if that's going to happen until it happens.
Dante, even though you were enjoying your weekend golfing with Stephen A. Smith and Chris Broussard, what do you think about what happened this weekend?
I'm the opposite of y'all in the sense that I'm not mad that they did this because it's further proof that the Bears don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like we've seen it time and time again. We've talked about the disjointed front office between whether it be the GM not hiring the head coach or the head coach not hiring the the quarterback. Drafting the quarterback. But with these teams, you've seen them have continuity and have make a firm decision on which way they're going to go, and you've seen the positive results. So I wasn't mad unless I sat there watching it, and then I saw Bears fans saying certain things. It's like, nah, no matter what we do, you're not going to get that until you get the continuity that they have up top, and we simply haven't had that. So right now, when you're doing it the way we're trying to do it, you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle. So I'm not really concerned. I wasn't really one of those things where it's like, oh, this is some bullshit. Because for me, in order for the Bears to get right, they got to keep getting it wrong. So, like,
see, Dante, this is why I agree. Dante, this is why I disagree with you, and what you just said made me even more upset. The Detroit Lions ownership has been historically terrible. They ain't really had no continuity up there either. They just hired this time. They just hired the right GM and the right coach. We can't get that right, even with probably an ownership that's not worse than them. That hurts.
No, you absolutely right, and that's kind of the point. Because one thing that their owners, that we both have two of the oldest, not only women in America, but the oldest owners. Because she's old as shit, but she finally said, I don't know what I'm doing. You guys get football people and put them in place, and that's what the Lions have done. And you've seen the success, even with deciding to go get golf and build around him. So. For me, this entire weekend is like, yeah, Jordan Love is dope, but Jordan Love sat there for 3 years and learned the offense from the same head coach. He didn't have two head coaches in 3 years. You feel me? It's a completely different situation. So, if anything, it shows Bears fans that we can't keep calling certain things excuses when it's really just the context you need to understand why our team is fucking terrible. Like, Joe hit the nail on the head when he was like, the the Packers just get it. Like they have a formula, they stick with that formula. Brett Favre was pissed when they draft Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was pissed when they draft Jordan Love. But guess what? They have had a successor in place for each one, and it's continued on. So unless you like, there's nothing for me to be mad about. Like, would I love to see the Bears in the playoffs? Yeah, but if we keep doing the wrong shit, this is exactly what we deserve. Like uncertainty, because that's just what you're gonna get every time.
I feel like I be in my media bag, but I feel like my fan side came out of me like the Green Goblin this weekend, and like I tried to keep it suppressed because I know that the things that you guys are saying, the things my brother said, are correct. But this was like a very hopeless weekend. Like I was just like what the fuck? Like when the fuck are we gonna get it right if we ever do? Get it right. What's in the chat? Dante being sober has me worried more than about the no. This nigga sober today, motherfucker. Like, Courtney, I know you say you don't have much to add to this conversation, but what did you, just from an outsider point of view, how do you feel about the pain and that at least me, Mikey, and Beck are going through right now?
I don't know why y'all keep going back to it. Honestly, it's like the cycle is. It keeps repeating itself. And now y'all are back at, I guess this is kind of stage one of trying to draft a new quarterback. And then you're about to get to the next stage where he's going to piss you off for the next, year and a half because the circumstances around said quarterback necessarily haven't changed. And it's just going to repeat itself. So I'm just wondering when y'all are going to finally demand better for yourselves. That's all.
Courtney, do you know what fan is short for?
Fanatic? Yeah.
Exactly. We're drug addicts. We're drug addicts.
Well, that's like asking somebody who's an alcoholic, when are you gonna put the bottle down? I don't know. Just like David says here, it's called addiction. Yes.
But one thing I will say, I know we've jokingly kicked this around in the chat, me and Mikey, but Mel Kiper repeated it again a few minutes ago. He was like, the Bears could potentially get a first round pick for Justin Fields. So
if that's the case,
I will drive that nigga over here myself.
I would fly to Chicago and drop that nigga off.
It's not gonna be
all these extra first round picks if you're not really gonna do.
But here's the thing: I believe in Ryan Poles to get
exactly.
Ryan Poles is not my concern. My concern is the niggas who employ Ryan Poles.
Yeah, right. Because I don't think it's going to be a first round. I don't think it's going to be a first round pick 2024. I don't think nobody is going to give you a 2024 first round pick. Now, I can see the Bears trading Justin after the draft is over when everybody is assessed and there's like 2 or 3 teams. It's like, man, we fucked up. We didn't get a quarterback. Now, I can see that happening. And then in 2025, you're trading him for a second. And then if he hits the benchmarks, he could get a number 1. But I think Mel Kiper just talking out of his ass right now because ain't nobody about to get that man not Justin, not in this draft, not about to get no 2024 first round pick. He's tweaking.
I just want to say this real quick. Damien says Courtney tired of listening about the Bears struggle. As Damien knows, is being friends with me and all the Chicago friends. Yeah, this is all we talk about. We talk about
no. The problem isn't just the Bears. It's the White Sox. It's the Bulls.
I don't know who the White Sox are. I don't know who the White Sox are. I don't know who the White Sox are. This is shout out my man 312 Darius. Shout out my man 312 Darius on Twitter who claims he's done with the Bears. We talk about them niggas every time.
Have y'all selected a new team from fan free agency?
I'm Dodgers. I'm going Dodgers. I am. Look, you see. I got the Crenshaw hat on. I shout out to the free Clippers hat at Staples Center to give away the other day. I'm going with the Dodgers. When I say I'm done with the White Sox, I'm dead ass. You don't hear me talk about them niggas. When the last time I tweeted anything about them, Mikey put in the chat about Luis Robert getting Scott Boras, and all I said was, well, hope y'all niggas enjoy him for the next couple of years because he's gone when that contract is up. But this is actually a perfect segue. By the way, we've got our guest. Reeta the NFL Chick, she will be joining us. She is one half of the Gridiron Girls podcast, podcast. She also is on 105.7 The Fan out there in Baltimore. She'll be joining us to talk about Wild Card Weekend. And we're also going to get into a little bit of Baltimore Ravens football as they're going to be getting ready to face either CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans this week, or they will be facing Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I say Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. God, don't respect not one quarterback on them niggas roster. But as we continue about the circle of suck that is Chicago sports, it brings me back to a team that made me a sports fan and also the team that spoiled me and made me think at a young age that winning was easy. I blame the Chicago Bulls because I remember winning at least the last three. I remember the first three. I think anybody who says remember anything before the age of 5 is full of shit. That's just my personal opinion. So I don't remember the first three championships. When they won number 3, I was a couple months away from being 5. I remember the last 3 very vividly. The 1996 NBA Finals is why I'm a sports fan. Anybody who grew up in the 90s, grew up in Chicago in the 90s, if you're at least, I'll say 30 years old, you have memories of, running into these players out here, how the city was like during that time. And I felt when they had the Ring of Honor announcement, came like a month and a half ago, I said, oh, this is trying to get good PR back because your team fucking sucks. And they have fucking sucked. But not only the Chicago Bears, not Chicago Bears. See, I keep calling them Bears. Only the Chicago Bulls, a Jerry Reinsdorf-owned organization, could even do this wrong. Number one, you don't have none of the big 3 there. Michael Jordan said he couldn't be there. Actually, now Mike could be full of shit, but from the actual video, sound like he actually wanted to be there. And if that is the case, you should have booked it around that nigga's schedule because nobody would give a damn about this franchise if it wasn't for Michael Jordan. We all know Scottie Pippen wasn't gonna come. We all know how I feel about Scottie Pippen. I feel like they should take his jersey out from the fucking Raptors, but that's just me. Dennis Rodman, in typical Dennis fashion, was supposed to be there, but didn't come, and then he blamed the weather. No, nigga, something else just probably happened. And then the people who actually showed up, you don't even fully give them the attention by introducing them one-on-one. It was super tacky. You're having a gala on a Thursday night. You know how many nice places there are in Chicago, especially for a multi-billion-dollar organization where you could have hosted a nice gala at, and you have these motherfuckers eat and chill on the fucking court on the United Center? That's just peak Jerry Reinsdorf. I'm cheap. That's all that shit is. And then on the icing on the cake will be the fans booing Jerry Cross and his widow just happened to be there. Now I kind of want to get in this as for the next 10 minutes, as I feel like Bang, you had an opinion on this. I've been going back and forth about it. Do you blame The Last Dance for people booing Jerry Cross? And I think actual Chicago people who know about this, Jerry Cross has never been a liked figure in Chicago. Yeah. I think even before The Last Dance came out, if you're of age, you know that the city doesn't have a good relationship with. And I'm not saying that I'm shocked that Bulls fans booed him. And I'm not even saying that I'm a particular fan of Jerry Cross, but I just feel like there's respect for that. And I don't think a documentary should influence grown-ass adults to be doing things like that. So, Bang, I'm going to give it to you on what you feel about The Last Dance and if that had anything to do with what we saw on Friday.
Well, your last sentence basically accounted to a lot of stuff that I was telling my homie BC, Brian Crawford. Not going to let a documentary influence me in hating somebody. And especially with this Jerry Krause thing, I think it's a special case. Look, we've hated this man since 1994. Let's call a spade a spade. Since 1994, we have hated Jerry Krause. And Jerry Krause is one of the few figures in Chicago sports history that the hate gets passed down from generation to generation. When you see Jerry Krause on the screen, it's like the Lion King when the little meme when they was like, yo, what is this over there? He said it's the Pride Lands, whatever. Hey, and this one is the same thing. When Jerry Krause come on the screen, a kid goes and say, what is that? Who is that? That's Jerry Krause, old bitch ass. He the reason why the Chicago Bulls broke up, even though he's not technically the reason. Now, if you want to say Michael Jordan himself is a part of it, I'll give you that. I'll give you Scotty. It's the way that the whole thing with the team was handled and all of that stuff. If you want to give me that, that's cool. Because even though it's not fully on them, if you want to say that you was influenced by Mike in the 90s and what he was saying about Jerry Krause and all of that, that's cool. But that ain't The Last Dance. Now, there might be some younger people who was influenced, but they knew what happened before that. When Jerry Krause died, y'all, I'll end it with this. When Jerry Krause died, that was a collective, cool. There was no, when Johnny Red Kerr passed away, Cass was like, oh man,
when Norm Van Lith died, Nick was sick.
Yeah, I worked at Best Buy in North Riverside, and Johnny Red Kerr used to come up in that bitch religiously. So when he wasn't coming in there no more, we was like, damn, that's sad. Norm Van Lier, damn, that side hell. Jerry Sloan, when he started going in the wrong direction, even though he was a Utah Jazz to a lot of us that grew up as Bulls fans in the 90s, it's like, oh yeah, they're forming the Raptors for Jerry Sloan. That's fucked up. Like, Jerry Krause died though, and it was a collective whatever.
Yeah.
So that tells you, and that's before The Last Dance. Jerry Krause died in 2017. The Last Dance was during the pandemic. Sorry, y'all. The crib has hated that man since 1994. A documentary don't have anything to do with why that man was booed.
Mikey, what's your takes on this situation, man? What side are you leaning on?
Well, nah, I don't. I mean, it's the truth. Like, I was talking to my man Fern, and he was even talking about it. He's like, people trying to blame the documentary. He's like, bro, I was, he's obviously older than me. Like, he got like 10 years on me. So he's like, bro, I was around in the early 90s and in the late 90s. They hated him then. They were booing him then. He was like, I remember going to a game when he was still there. They were like actually booing Jerry Krause, So you can't blame it on that. Obviously, if fans are gonna fan the way they are, we live in an era where everything, people are just like insensitive to the fact, like, you want to boo the man, that's fine, but like, I mean, it's not fine, but like, to have his widow there, you know what I'm saying? Like, that shit was heartbreaking, because at the end of the day, like, she don't got nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? It's bad enough her partner is no longer there, but I put this all still on, on Jerry and his son Michael. Joe Cowley came out with the article, talking about how Mike and Pip weren't there, and how, why would you even have a Ring of Honor if the two biggest people aren't even there? Jerry just flat out said, like, I don't think we really made an effort to try to
I heard that.
make it work. And Michael Reinsdorf came out and said, like, well, we just put this together 6 weeks ago, so we get it. People have different schedules and shit, and like, that's just poorly timed. Like, you could have told all the people that you wanted to honor in 2023, hey, we're gonna do this in 2024, or the start of the 2025 season, the home opener of next season, of the 2024-2025 season, we're gonna do our Ring of Honor. You could have gave people enough time, but there was no concessions made. Even Jerry Reinsdorf said, like, oh yeah, I wish everybody could have been here. He's like, I think Michael sent the video or something. Like, what do you mean you think? The video was already posted. So like, he really don't know. And I put it on them. Like, everything is just poorly executed. Like, all, it's like Courtney said in the last segment. It's just all things Chicago sports are down bad right now, man.
Dante, man, go ahead. What's I know you absolved yourself in anything.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely gonna tag back in for this one, because I was extremely disappointed on several levels. With the whole Jerry Krause thing, I understand, because like I said, we were all there, we saw it. He was getting booed when he was alive, but at the end of the day, the man helped build a team that won 6 championships. He brought in Scotty, and if as those of us who go more in depth nowadays, he was the one who was trying to trade Scotty back ass for T-Mac to try to keep the winning going. So he had the right formula. He wasn't a like person, but you can't sit here and say that man didn't know basketball. And so to do that with his widow present, that was foul. And just the whole ceremony itself was just another example of how the Reinsdorfs do things, how they conduct business, bro. Because there's no way you should have had that without Mike and Scotty in the building, without Mike, Scotty, Dennis in the building. I understand Phil was there. That was cool. But you mean to tell me Luke Longley travels all the way from Australia and you don't even introduce that man? Like, it was an extremely disrespectful ceremony for something that was supposed to be honoring those who have done great things for your team. So saying, oh yeah, we put this together 6 weeks ago, why the fuck would you even tell somebody that?
Yeah,
like seriously, why would that's just how much they fumble shit, G.
I disagree a little bit. All right. I mean, do Jerry Reinsdorf contain some blame? Michael Reinsdorf and whoever put this shit together contain some blame? Yes, they do. But at the end of the day, and I'm about to say some shit that might be uncomfortable to some people, let's look at the people who booed.
Mm-hmm.
What were they?
I have no idea. I didn't see.
They were entitled white people, fam.
Oh, yeah,
let's be real. They was entitled white people, fam. And sometimes in these situations, we have to just go ahead and pinpoint what it is. Sometimes those type of fans that go up in there are entitled. And when we see a lot of these fans get into it with players, who do we see? So let's go ahead and say the uncomfortable part out loud. That's what it was. The second part, too, is going back to the entitled piece. Look, man, the Bulls organization probably has the most entitled fan base for no fucking reason at all of all time. And
the NBA Cowboys.
And it took my man Sean Davis to make me see the light here. The Bulls had no success before Mike, and they ain't really had success after Mike.
You finna Pav, you finna get Pav gonna watch this and just hop in and say, I've been telling y'all niggas.
That's a fact. That's facts.
It took Sean Davis to tell me this because we was going back and forth, and he was like, bro, they ain't really had no success before that or after that. So all of these entitled fans of the Chicago Bulls, not the thorough fans, I'm talking about the entitled fans who was sitting up there booing. They entitled ass was booing because they mad at some shit that was about to end in the first place. There's an article on my wall right now that says the joy of 6. It's the day after they won the damn world title. It's the cover of the Chicago Tribune. It got Mike and Phil Jackson hugging. You know what it says on the left side of it? Awesome run appears to be losing its legs. The shit was going to end in the fucking first place, y'all. So for y'all to boo this man the way that y'all booed this man, y'all only booing them because y'all felt like for some strange reason, y'all precious ass goddamn run was going to continue, but y'all don't even realize that he was trying to put the shit in place. Fuck the damn T-Mac trade. The nigga tried to change Scottie Pippen for Sean Kemp to keep this shit alive, y'all. So we have to get over the hate for Jerry Krause because the man was actually trying, but shit, when you dealing with the egos that you was dealing with, you got to run with what you got to run with. But it's entitled fans that I blame the most. The reason why this shit happened, because they're entitled about some shit that happened between 1991 and 1999. And it wasn't shit before that, and it ain't been shit after that. So for y'all to look at those years and still get your dick hard because this shit is still going on, that's y'all fault. Stop booing that man, and y'all shouldn't have booed that man in front of his wife.
I mean, you just cooked, G. I think you just hit the nail on the head. I feel like, and I'm not gonna sit up here like there wasn't a point in time where I didn't fall victim to it, as far as like being the entitled Bulls fan because of the run that they had. If you look at it compared to like a Lakers run or a Celtics run, it's not the same thing because the Lakers had multiple runs. Lakers have multiple championship teams. The Celtics have multiple championship teams, and on top of that, the Lakers, even though the Celtics haven't won a championship in like 16 years, these niggas have always been in the conversation. When winning is one thing, and being in the conversation is the other. The Bulls have been absolute poverty outside of like the couple years that Derrick Rose was actually healthy. And let's keep it 100% real about this, yo. If Derrick Rose if Derrick Rose stay healthy, I think it's a matter of time for he left the damn Bulls any fucking way. This is a nigga who, when the Bulls lost in 2011 to the Heat, they say, no, we need to help him out. A washed ass Richard Hamilton. So it's not like they had any serious plans of actually competing at this time. The Bulls are basically like Cowboy fans, big fan base that's supportive and keeps thinking about the fucking 90s. It is not the 90s. It's in June. It will have been 26 years since the last time the Chicago Bulls won an NBA championship. It'll be 13 years since the last time the Bulls even made an Eastern Conference final. 9 since they even won a goddamn playoff series. So I think, like you said, the Bulls fans have a lot to do with the entitlement. But overall, man, just look, man, I understand that Bulls fans don't have a good relationship with Jerry Krause, but man, the man been dead 7 years, and and more importantly, his family's there, bro. Like I just felt that was real distasteful, and I like how Stacey King and Adam Amin called everybody out on that. So that's just pretty much how I feel about that. As we wait for our guests, we have our guests coming up in a minute. What's just kind of like some, as we get into the wild card a little bit, what's some thoughts that you guys had from this weekend? I'll go with you, Courtney.
As far as what kind of
Just
thoughts?
like what things that stood out to you from this weekend.
Are we going to get into the big one? The big one that's about
I
20
mean,
minutes away from me here in Dallas, or
yeah. I mean, we
oh
can get
yeah,
into it
no,
now.
the Cowboys are exactly who we thought they were. I don't know why anyone at any point was confused. It's business as usual over there in Arlington. I'm so shocked that anyone thought it was going to be different, honestly. And I'm really thinking about Dan today. Wherever Dan is, cousin Dan, I hope you're having a fantastic afternoon.
I'm not even gonna text Dan because he's gonna tell. What about your damn Bears, nigga? Yeah, so I mean, I kind of feel like I couldn't even get off on the Cowboys like slander because of who them niggas lost to. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all niggas had one job. Like y'all had one fucking job to get it right. And I just feel like at this particular time, it's just you gotta break them niggas up. And like it's just like I don't know how much more we can look at as what has been happening and think that this is just a crew that's gonna keep moving. This is not.
I got a question for y'all.
Go ahead.
I got a question for y'all because Dan Orlovsky been talking about it on every TV show he's been on today, and I actually agree with him. Do y'all think it's time to blow up Dallas Cowboys?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a tough question, simply because Dak has got to get paid no matter what, right? Like, isn't he on the line for like $50 million next season?
It's like a $60 million cap.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Hit,
that's
they
not.
said.
I don't think that's. And again, y'all know that I'm not like a Dak Prescott fan, enthusiast, whatever you want to call it. I'm not on the Dak train, but I do think something's got to change, and I don't think that change starts with Dak. I feel like that change has to start with Mike McCarthy. That also, Dan Quinn. How do you change up the defensive scheme that you're running the entirety of the season? How do you change that up in week 19? What are you doing?
I think this is the worst week ever for Dan Quinn because of the jobs he is allegedly up for, and he put it out there and just put it like an absolute stinker defensively. It looked like the week 18 game against the Bears like just continued. Just how open Jaden Reed was, how open, and these niggas is throwing like niggas I never heard of outside of like the couple.
Yeah,
but
nobody on the Packers team is anybody that we really heard of outside of Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew
it's all scheme.
It's all scheme. I knew Jaden Reed, like I said, because I watched all types of fucking football on College Saturday, and I liked him looking at the wide receiver group that was coming into the draft. Yeah. He's from outside the crib. He went to Michigan State. He was a beast at Michigan State. And I thought that was somebody that the Bears should have looked at over like somebody like Tyler Scott. But to go to Courtney's point, I mean, they got to run it back at least one more year with Dak. I think you just need another voice. They do have an influx of free agents that are going to be pending. I don't know. CeeDee Lamb is going to want to get paid. So I don't know. Like you can't ever reset it in Dallas. You can't rebuild in Dallas. There's just going to have to be a retooling. I mean, if they want to go ahead and go with a quarterback, go with a head coaching change. I mean, this is the year to do it. You have the best people out there. I think somebody we should look at is maybe like Mike Vrabel. Like if Belichick is not a realistic there, I think Mike Vrabel is perfect for that.
In my opinion, Mikey, I don't think that Cowboys fans that's going to be a hard sell. Like Mike McCarthy, I'm not a fan of his. But like he decided he wanted to take over the play calling, after Kellen Moore went to not San Diego. See, shows the power of branding, huh?
LA,
right? But no, I think anyone that isn't Bill Belichick would be a really hard sell for Cowboys fans, because how do you say, oh, who didn't do the job but can do the job? Mike Vrabel. What did he do in Tennessee?
I gotta.
I think you could sell them off the simple fact that you've tried that before, where you bring in a big name and they didn't get it done. So like you
But
brought in the
Cowboys fans,
Parcells,
I
you
feel
brought
like
in
they
all these
gotta
guys.
be
Like
tired at this point.
but the Cowboys fans, they're like Bulls fans. They'll buy anything. Like no disrespect. Like
No,
you
they
put
will.
somebody in front of them, they're gonna buy it.
They
like
will.
it is what it is.
We got we're gonna go with our guesses here. We've got Reeta the NFL Chick. You can follow her on Twitter at the NFL Chick. She is one half of the Gridiron Gals podcast, also hosts the Winning Drive podcast, and is also on 105.7 The Fan out there in Baltimore. Thank you for joining us, G. How you feeling?
Thank y'all so much for having me. I'm ready for these 4:30/8:15 games that's getting ready to come up today.
Yeah, great scheduling by the NFL, putting this on in the middle of a Monday.
It's a holiday, right? It's a holiday, so it ain't too bad.
Not too bad. I definitely wanted to watch some. That's why we're going early today. But we first of all, I want to give a shout out to my homegirl Shakia. She the one who hooked us up with this. Like I was supposed to have you on the show a long time ago. I'm glad we were able to actually get you on here. We're going to talk about your Ravens in a minute, but as you were joining, we were having a little bit of discussion about the Dallas Cowboys. And I said that usually I like laughing at the Cowboys, but this week they lost a team I hate more than anything on this earth, and that is the Green Bay Packers. What do you feel about what we saw this weekend from the Dallas Cowboys, and where do they go from here?
That's a lot. So I mean, what we saw was what we already know about the Dallas Cowboys, which is their team that can do some things in the regular season, but when the lights really get bright, they look like a deer in headlights, right? And so while I thought that this was a matchup problem for them, because they do know how to run the ball, and I thought that Jordan Love had been playing well as of late. I didn't see that. I didn't see what we saw last night. I didn't foresee them getting beat down the way that they did. And maybe that's me. Maybe the signs were always there and I just didn't pay it any mind. But, you look at what they were able to do at home this year. I think they were undefeated at home. And yes, while they weren't world beaters against teams with winning records because they lost to the Dolphins. We know that they lost to the 49ers. The Packers kind of snuck their way into the playoffs. So I didn't think that they were going to get manhandled, not in wild card weekend. So where do they go from here is a really good question, because it does feel like that they're in a stagnant place. But to me, the problem, you can keep changing the coach. You can keep changing the quarterback. The ownership still is there. It's the same story. It's a different cast. But one thing that's consistent is Jerry Jones. So maybe Jerry Jones needs to look within himself and think that he's the problem instead of keep firing and rehiring and bringing in quarterbacks and all these things. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're not the talent evaluator that you thought you were. Maybe you're not the guy that can pick out coaches the way that you thought you were. Maybe it's a you problem. Maybe we need to start there.
Pass the collection plate on that one.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head, because we've been talking about like ownership and situations, which I feel like something that the NFL fans try to ignore. We see the ridiculous conversations we see on NFL Twitter every day, and somebody who's that brought up Mike Vrabel? Was that Mikey who you brought up, Mike Vrabel?
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel is a cool option. This is why I don't feel like Bill Belichick doesn't work, because it's just what you said, Rita. When you talking about Jerry Jones, Belichick, it would never work. Bill Belichick didn't even want to work with Robert Kraft, and Robert Kraft isn't as hands-on as a Jerry Jones. Like Jerry Jones, the only owner that I've seen maybe since R.I.P. Jerry Buss, that when a team loses, they go to him. There's a flock of reporters around him. I cover the Bears. I've seen McCaskey one time in my 3 years of covering the team. Like I never see them. So Jerry is on the front line. So I feel like that is the difference right there. I personally think they just gotta break up the team. Do you think that Dak, with everything we done seen from Dak, finally having a great regular season, do you think it's time for them to part ways with Dak? Or or they kind of stuck because of the contract they gave him?
Nah, I mean, see, I don't think that you're ever stuck. You can always find an opportunity if you really want to get out of something, right? It's going to cost you, but you can always get rid of a guy and then bring in a rookie quarterback. And then because they're on their first contract, their rookie contract, it won't pay you out as much. So it kind of balances itself out. But ultimately, maybe you have to start looking at like, do I want to trade Dak maybe for some draft picks? Is Dak necessarily the problem? And so while I think that Dak at moments can be problematic, and we saw that, last night, I don't think that Dak is the whole problem. Your run defense is not good. It's boom or bust. You either, make negative plays or you're giving up big yardages. Stephon Gilmore, I forgot he even played, honestly. You need to move him to safety, or you need to get rid of him, period. Because he's an old man out there. You got him out there playing corner against these young guys. He don't have it anymore. You need to be real about that. You need to get personnel, what you want to do. Because, look, you got Micah Parsons, you got Dexter Lawrence, you got dogs, but then you don't have, to me, you don't necessarily have enough. So, yes, Dak is part of the problem, but there's other parts of issues that this Dallas Cowboys team had. The first thing, right, and I know this is old news at this point, but who did y'all get to replace Amari Cooper? I don't have –
exactly.
I know that CeeDee Lamb is CeeDee Lamb. We're going to – but how great would it have been to have CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper together? To give
but they got Brandon Cooks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's a great addition.
Come on, Fred. I know what you know what? Look, I see Amari Cooper put up almost 300 yards in one football game. Like, Brandon Cooks is a nice guy and he's a good football player. He ain't Amari Cooper, and that's what I know. And so, Jerry got in his little feelings because Amari Cooper didn't like to listen when it came to COVID, and he moved on. All right, fine, that's a business decision, but you never really replaced Amari Cooper. And so we like to be mad about what Cam said about game managers versus game changers, but that does need a little bit more help around him. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying that. You know what I'm saying? So either you're going to have to build around Dak and give him all of the weapons, or you got to move on and find somebody that you feel like can be a game changer, and you got to fix that defense.
Courtney, when you said they had Brandon Cooks, remind me, I'm gonna keep bringing that clip up. Anthony Edwards was like, yeah, they got KD, but we got Jay McDaniels.
Yeah.
We got Jay McDaniels. That's who Brandon Cooks is. Well, it's outside of the Cowboys. Was there anything that stood out to you about just this weekend? I know a lot of people were complaining about the quality of the games. You only got one good game. The NBA Twitter, and I'll give them this. They got some shit right this weekend about, only the NFL can get away with bad games unlike the NBA. What was your opinion on, kind of that sentiment, and also just anything that stood out to you over this weekend?
So, seeing CJ Stroud play the way that he played against the Browns, who I felt like had a really, really good defense, was amazing to watch. But that's another game I didn't see being the way that it ended up, Thanks, Joe Flacco, with them 2 pick sixes. So that got out of hand, and then that just went the way that it did. But watching CJ Stroud and seeing D'Amico Ryans and with their build, Will Anderson has been great. But I definitely didn't think that was going to be a blowout. Same with the Cowboys game. Look, what we're about to start seeing is what NBC and Peacock did, and I hated it. I hated every minute of it. Having to go to stream football game. I shouldn't have to pay to watch a football game, a playoff game at that. A regular season game, y'all already got us trying to having to get Amazon Prime to watch Thursday night games. And now I got to pay for playoff games because that's not going to be the last. And it's going to be more moving forward, which is absolutely asinine to me. I don't understand why I have to continue to pay. Y'all got all the money. Why do you need more? But that's another story for another day. The best game that I thought was going to be the best game was the Lions and the Rams. And it had so many storylines about, Jared Goff and, Matthew Stafford flip-flopping teams. And so you already know Jared Goff came in there, Jared Goff was there because that's his hometown, his team with a chip on his shoulder. But I really felt like I had no idea who was going to stop Puka. And nobody did, right? Nobody did, yeah. Nobody stopped. But some of the decisions that Sean McVay made at the end of the game, to me, were questionable. And that's how, in my opinion, that's how that game ended up the way that they did. That being said, I am extremely happy for the people of Detroit because I know that was a long time coming. And it feels even better that the guy that left you for the nicer place was the dude that you stunted on.
I wanted to be happy. It's tough for me.
I know you can. It's tough.
It's tough. I got family in Detroit. I think everybody in Chicago, you got family in Detroit or Cleveland or shit.
Yep.
My auntie love her to death. She texted me at like 10:30 last night with just lions and caps. I just didn't respond. That's my auntie and I love her. I had nothing for her. And so I get it from that perspective, but as a Bears fan, or as my co-host Bang says, as you can see the disgust on his face, he's been saying all season nobody care about the Lions, and we just had a weekend from hell.
Nobody give
And meanwhile, the Lions ain't gonna go to the NFC Championship game because they can beat both the Eagles and the Bucks. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. That's the tough part, and I feel like to kind of circle back on the point you just had, which is a great segue into what I want to talk about next. We're talking about sports and streaming, and this I know you said it's going to be another company. I know I have it on good authority that Amazon Prime Video is up on deck for next year, and I think it doesn't help with the stat that they put out this week. Now we don't know if it's a company made stat because. As somebody who used to work in the studio, I know sometimes they throw bullshit out when they said that it was 23 million streams of Peacock for this watching last week. I feel like I've been like an old man yelling at the clouds for about a year now, telling people that this was coming in this direction, and even you can see it something as with the NBA. If you go to HBO Max right now, and you will see the Martin Luther King games, you can stream them right now on Max. It's just a matter of time before you either HBO Max or I think what's coming is the Apple TV presents the in-season tournament.
Actually, the HBO Max thing, that's beta right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's March or April. They're
around playoff time.
Around playoff time, and that's going to be added into your HBO Max subscription. So you're gonna have to pay more for sports.
That's crazy.
I am never trying to pay to see the Chicago Bulls, so I will be canceled.
Well, guess what? You ain't got to worry about them. They not been in the playoffs, nigga. So you ain't got to worry about that. They're gonna be done. They're gonna be done first week of April, first week whatever the play-in starts. We ain't got to worry about that shit at all. But it's like from like a fan perspective, we saw a lot of people complaining about it, and rightfully so. Like I'd have been complaining too if I didn't pay for it because I pay for Peacock just because I like watching the King Queens marathon. So that's really where I get my $5 for. So I already had it. But as a fan, like and looking from a fan and also like from a business perspective, what do you think are like the dangers of this? Do you think it's something where the NFL knows that everybody's going to pay, or do you think this is where this could backfire on them?
I don't see how I don't see how this does back. And if they does backfire, they're not gonna care. Look at the way that they look at how they tote these refs out here. It backfires on them regularly. We talk about the refs on a regular basis, and nothing has happened to change anything. Nothing. They are untouchable until they're not. And I don't think that streaming is going to be what makes them untouchable. That's the sad thing. If anything, it'll just continue to add money to their pocket and to their portfolio of what it is that they're able to do. And us like dummies, we gonna sit there and buy it. So until like we just in a real type of recession where people just can't afford nothing, which people are always gonna kind of overextend their means because if it's something that they really want. And so when people really want football and they want to watch it that bad, they'll figure it out. Or what's gonna happen is these sites is gonna start having folks do it illegally if they haven't already. So I mean, I don't think the NFL is going to learn anything from this. What exactly has the NFL done and learned from at this point? That's the question that I have, which I can't think of anything as of yet.
Yeah, the NFL knows.
I don't think there's anything they need to learn, honestly. If we're thinking about it just from how many, you said about 23 million?
It was 23 million is what they reported. Yeah.
All right, 23 million times $5.99. That's about a lot of money. $135 million. They're holding a stack up to their face right now. Yeah. I think they're good. Yep.
Yeah, they could go use that money to get Mahomes a new helmet with that money.
Correct.
but
y'all,
Reeta,
my cat is an attention whore. She like attention every time I do.
Oh, you good?
Come up there. So sorry.
You good. I had to lock mine in the bedroom. But I'll tell you something, Reeta. I know who you will pay to see. And that's going to be your soon-to-be MVP, Lamar Jackson. Let's talk about Lamar, his MVP campaign. He had a real tough offseason with the conversation talks about him being traded. What's been the number one thing that you've seen this year in his demeanor, his play on the field that has the Ravens as the number one seed?
Lamar has just has so much growth in terms of what he's able to do on the field. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he has better pieces around him, right? Like everybody, oh yeah, 2019, he was unanimous MVP. And then we ignore the fact that he had Seth Roberts. I don't know what Seth Roberts is doing. Willie Snead, which I made a joke on Twitter about him being unemployed. Apparently he plays for the 49ers. Didn't even know, right? He ain't doing nothing over there.
Willie Snead the fourth.
Yeah, Willie Snead the fourth. Willie Snead the fourth got a job. Didn't even know he had a job. So that tells you what it is. And a very young rookie, Marquise Brown, and a second-year player, and his tight end, Mark Andrews. So, when you look at what he had then and what he was able to do with that, I mean, you already knew what type of player he would be. But, in order to level up, I do think that you do have to have better pieces around you. And finally, the Ravens went on about their way and said, okay, we're going to try to make things better. And I know that Odell, when you look at his stats, it's not going to be anything that stands out. Understandable. But he still commands a lot of respect from these defenses, which does help the other guys on the field. And so what Lamar has been able to do, and the way that he's just been able to extend plays, the way that he's been able to move the ball, effortlessly down the field, and his vision now, and having the better weapons that can get open, to me is really been the difference between then and now. And so the statistics aren't going to tell you that he's the MVP. I understand when you look at the paper, you're going to be like, I don't understand how this dude is the MVP. You got to watch the film. It's about the film, because the touchdowns that he would get in the past, the rushing touchdowns, he's now giving it to his other guys, Gus Edwards and Keaton Mitchell, that's not there now, Justice Hill. Those guys have been doing the running in the end zone for him. He's not doing that anymore. So I think that the biggest thing for him is he's preserved his body. He's not running and running and running. He's literally trying to make running his last available thing in order to move the chains. And because of that, it is absolutely helping his team win, but the statistics aren't saying that it's MVP worthy. So, I mean, when you beat 10 teams with 5 that were above 500, and that's something that's never been done, that's nice to sit here and say that the defense is doing this and da-da-da-da, but we all know, the defense, any defense, has too many rules against them. The league just doesn't work like that no more. You need somebody on offense that can move you down the field. Lamar's just been really, really good with that this year.
I'll say this as somebody who I have been wrongfully accused on this network. I'm just gonna get this out here before my co-host.
It ain't wrongfully accused.
Wrongfully accused. There's been a running joke on this network for the 6 years that we've been in business that I do not like black quarterbacks, which is ridiculous because I'm a black man and my quarterback is black. No matter
the truth shall set you free, brother. The truth shall set you free, brother.
That one. White people say they love black people. They only love the black people that they like. They don't like all of us. You like your black quarterback, not all black quarterbacks, man.
What do you mean?
But then when I say Patrick Mahomes is my favorite quarterback in the league, they're like, he ain't all black. Like, see, this is the type of thing that I have to deal with. But for me, with my criticism now, I would say about Lamar, just from a throwing perspective, the last couple years, I do think it was a little bit of the scheme, and he did not have the best receivers. As I don't call him Hollywood Brown. I call him Rancho Cucamonga Brown. He doesn't deserve to be named Hollywood Brown. And that's no disrespect to the people of Rancho Cucamonga, but there's a difference. And I feel like there was some things that were also to blame with the coaching. I feel a little bit about Justin Fields sometimes, where I feel like sometimes there was little traits that he would have that would, put him in the wrong situations, have turnovers, and maybe the forced throws, and maybe in situations they lost where they were number 1 seed and they lost to the Tennessee Titans, that I feel like I want to see more. This year, it completely shut up any type of criticism I had. I think that even what you said with looking at how he goes runnings last now, and the throwing touchdowns might not blow you up. It's not like something where he's throwing a Josh Allen amount of touchdowns, but he's also not throwing Josh Allen interceptions. So I think that balances it out. So do you think that any of the criticisms, whether it's from me or other people who go even worse and call him a running back, do you think that any of those criticisms were valid?
The running back criticism was a little egregious, right? Like, I watched Lamar Jackson since he played literally his first snap at Louisville. And I'll never forget, it was against Auburn, I believe. It was a SEC team. And so the kid has always had talent. He's always been in a pro-style offense. Yes, has he been, athletic and he's run probably a little too soon? We can say that. But also at Louisville, I can't remember any of the wide receivers that he had that went to the NFL either. You know, it was a lot like Cam when he was at Auburn. Like, I don't know. I don't think any of Cam's offensive players.
I can't name one receiver from Cam from Auburn. Not one.
I can't. Can you? Because so Lamar won a Heisman. I don't know how, because I mean I do, but it's like, well, who was he throwing to? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have a clue. All we know is Jair Alexander was his teammate, who literally was on the other side of the ball. Like, we don't like. I don't even know how this was possible, right? And yet, you know, they were able to do things like what they did to Florida State and all that other stuff, and played that one of the best games I had ever seen when they played against Clemson that year. This is who he's always been, but he's just a kid that needed to be polished. You know what I'm saying? And look, Josh Allen is a good example of this, how sometimes you can get put in a situation where you have the talent. It's a little raw, but coaches can kind of help you get to a point where it's not dangerous, which even though it is still dangerous with Josh Allen, for the most part, it's effective for him. But that's the same thing for Lamar, right? Like, he's always had raw talent. He's always had it there. He's always been able to process, you know, defenses. He's always played in a pro-style offense. But he's in a position now where he's being coached very well, and he's been put in an offensive scheme that's relative to where he is now at the point of his life. Because where he was in 2019 and what Greg Roman was doing was cool. It worked out. He was only a second-year player. You can't do that forever. And that's why Greg Roman goes around the way that he does. So I think that, you know, the growth in his coaching, the growth in the guys that he throws to, and the growth within himself is what got him here now. So, yes, I think that it was the criticism, to answer your original question, it was warranted, but the running back thing was a little too far. Y'all was doing too much.
I would say I never called him a running back, even though my esteemed co-host Dante called me Bill Polian multiple times on the show. I'm gonna shoot it to Courtney for the next one.
Yeah. So, Reeta, I hate to trigger you a little bit here, but in lieu of this, in light, I should say, of this Bills Steelers game, you got to be maybe, I don't know if maybe scared is the right word, but maybe like triggered a little bit at the possibility of the Ravens maybe having to play the Steelers for a third time this season. Now, I know there were extenuating circumstances. That Week 5 loss was a little crazy. Lots of very catchable balls that were not caught. That Justice Hill fumble comes to mind when I think of the reasons why the Ravens didn't win that game by 2 or more touchdowns. And then, of course, Snoop Huntley played in Week 18. Who, if, you know, the Steelers were to somehow pull this off against the Bills, which I don't think that they will, but if they were to somehow pull this off and the Ravens did have to play, you know, the Steelers, which team for you moves the needle and scares you a little bit more as an opponent?
Between the Steelers and the Texans, and who
the Steelers and the Texans, yeah.
So first of all, I want to go back to your first point, because yes, there was 3 touchdowns that was dropped in that game.
Yes.
Like, the Steelers ain't.
I lost so much money that day.
Didn't we all? Okay, didn't we all? And I don't want to talk about it. Look, the Ravens? Yes. Did they get swept by the Steelers this year? Yes. Obviously, they didn't play Week 18, and then, you know, they shot themselves in the foot in the first outing. I think both of them are favorable matchups. And, you know, I say that because I think that the Texans' pass defense is a little suspect. You know, we did play them Week 1, but they're a completely different team than what the Ravens saw, who they are now. But also the Ravens are a completely different team. They didn't have their left tackle. They didn't have Mark Andrews, which, I mean, they might not have Mark Andrews again, but Isaiah Likely has been a guy that has definitely stepped up in lieu of Mark Andrews' injury. So there's a lot of missing. I think Marlon Humphrey didn't play in that first game. So I really want it to be the Steelers. I know it's not going to be, but neither team scares or concerns me. And I say that because the Ravens literally went through a gauntlet. When you look at their schedule and who they had to play and where they were at the time that they played them, I mean, they passed every test. So I can't sit here and say anybody is concerning, because they've had concerning games all year and they've passed them, right? But I want it to be the Steelers so badly, because this time will not be the same. And it will be a nasty, nasty day. They're going to get their asses handed all the way to them, all the way to Cabo. And I need, if there's football, since we didn't have two huge, I don't know if you consider an upset for the Texans game, right? Because some people did have the Texans. I thought that the Browns were good enough, but they weren't. You got some upsets that happened this weekend, right? If we can get one more, and it could be the Steelers against the Bills. Please let this happen because I need this to happen so the Ravens can drag them to hell.
I love the division beef. That's how I love it. I love that's the when I think of Ravens and Steelers, I think of CTE. That like I remember the 2008 AFC Championship game. Like that's the type of shit that I remember when I think about that. Like that to me is one of the best rivalries. Like if I had a chance, I always say I want 2 wins a year. And granted, I haven't got any of these 2 wins in God knows how fucking long. It's against the Green Bay Packers. Yep. Like that. So I understand when God does take me from this earth. My 6 final words: we fuck the Green Bay Packers, nigga. That's gonna be, and then they just take me on. That is it. So I understand 100% what you're talking about with that one.
We need that. They need there's some get back, some major get back that needs to be got. So I am begging the football gods. Please find a way. And honestly, I'm just tired of us making excuses for Josh Allen's interceptions. Now they got charts out here talking about, well, it was 3rd and long. It was like a punt. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Okay. So since when is interceptions cool? Okay, stop it. So I'm actually over us making excuses. And I like Josh Allen, by the way. This is not me like shitting on Josh Allen because Josh Allen ain't saying this shit. It's other people saying it. I get sick of y'all just sitting there making excuses for that man because I know Dak Prescott is reading these tweets like, well, when I was leading the league in interceptions last year, y'all didn't defend me.
Whose man's is this?
Right,
I fuck with Josh Allen. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a big Josh Allen guy. As Courtney and Mikey are leaders of the anti Josh Allen brigade. But Bang, man.
I get why they say you're anti-black quarterback.
You know what I'm saying?
You see where this is going. This is, and honestly, I didn't like Josh Allen when he first came out. And that's what led to my homie Mariano was like, yo, is Josh Allen half black? That's why you didn't like him, which is crazy. But
no, man. Hey, first of all, because I got a lot of homies in Baltimore during my time in DC. Shouts out to Quicksilver, DJ Gemini, Stretch.
Oh yeah, my people.
Yeah, half of them up in the text thread because we up in the fantasy football group. So I know all of them are very happy of what's going on with the Baltimore Ravens. Also, shouts out to Kelson and my 92Q family. With that being said, I ain't gonna ask you. With that being said, I ain't gonna ask you no more about Baltimore because I'm jealous. But hopefully, my man Roquan Smith get a ring or something like that.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Can I just say this before you go, Bang? I just want to say this quick thing before you go. The Bears tax is real. I just want to say this as a Roquan guy. Okay, Roquan has been balling since the day he got drafted, and there will be times where me and Bears fans will be screaming it from the mountaintops that he is a top 5 linebacker. As soon as he goes to Baltimore, everybody's seeing what I've been seeing. I just go, exactly. Now he's good. Now he's good. Everybody loved DJ Moore last year. Now he's a Bear, and now all of a sudden there's 18 wide receivers in front of him. So I just want to say the Bears tax that comes with that. Yeah. I love Roquan, even though Roquan did hit me with the I don't know if y'all remember the scene from Entourage where 50 pulled up to Jerry Ferrero and looked at him in that car and just looked like he was the brokest dude on planet Earth. Roquan did that in training camp last year, but it's all love. Go ahead.
But speaking of the Bears, I would love to get your thoughts on what you've been seeing around Justin Fields. Caleb Williams finally declared his intentions to enter the draft coming up this year. We've seen a lot of professional football players. The Trenches podcast just got through talking about how they feel like the Bears should not draft a quarterback. They should keep Justin Fields and draft Marvin Harrison. But it's the plan around them. It's the program around them that's the issue and not necessarily him. But what have you been thinking around, what you're seeing about Justin Fields? What does Baltimore think about Justin Fields?
I think two things can be true. I think that Justin Fields has the potential to be a phenomenal quarterback, and I think that he needs to go elsewhere. I think that sometimes relationships are broken, and unless somebody's willing to change, it's not going to fix itself. If the Bears aren't really willing to develop him around his strengths and build around that, nothing's going to change, right? If because sometimes y'all know coaches are hard-headed. They want their system. They don't want to, conform to the player. They want the player to conform.
Don't
And
even get me started on my Matt Nagy rant. Don't even start on that.
So, but y'all get it. You know what I'm saying? So, some guys need the conforming, and everybody's not gonna, implement into whatever it is that you want to do. And I think that Justin Fields is a very good football player. I do think that Marvin Harrison would be a great way for him to continue to build. I think getting him some offensive line help will be a great way to continue for him to build. But if you're not interested in doing that and you want somebody that's going to come out straight up hot, then that's not going to be the guy for you. But we all have seen flashes of what Justin Fields can be. So are you willing to develop that and make that a more consistent thing? Or are you willing to just be like, well, we've done all we can, which you really haven't, but we've done all we can. Let's just go ahead and move. And so as much as, Ravens fans talk about Greg Roman, we do have to come to terms with at least for what he did in 2019 for Lamar, really helped in his development and the run concepts that plenty of these teams use today. And so I thought that it would have probably been cool to have G-Ro come in as a running like a run game consultant that would have been helped with like zone reads and all of that other stuff, because his run concepts to me are very, very like well sought out, right? Nobody asking the man to call the plays because he ain't good at that, but he good at cooking. He good at putting the stuff together, right? And so I thought that would have been ideal for them to do. And when it didn't happen, I was just like, all right, so I kind of see where this is going. I think that they're going to move forward. And I don't think it's a mistake, because I think that Justin Fields deserves the opportunity to start fresh just as much as the Bears do, and allow another team to treat him the way that he should be treated and develop him the way that he should be developed. Atlanta would be really cool.
We've been saying it, but follow-up question to that, because Lamar wasn't without his struggles,
right?
When he got to the Ravens, and people like to compare Lamar with Justin. What are some of the similarities outside of the running that you see from Justin, and what things can he take from Lamar to become a better quarterback? Because it looks like Lamar has taken that next step that everybody was hoping, and as we see, he's about to win his second MVP.
You know what's funny? I don't know if there's much that Justin Fields can do differently, right? I think that if he does everything like I'm working hard in the off season, I'm watching all this film, I'm making sure I'm working with a quarterback coach in the off season, I'm doing all these things. None of that's going to change if the organization doesn't build the structure around him the way that they should. And that's the thing, right? He can do everything right, but if they're not doing everything right, it's never going to work. So, it doesn't matter. But I do see a lot of similarities in what they do in terms of, he has a nice arm, I think, Justin Fields. He has some good vision. Yes, at times he reminds me of old Lamar sometimes in terms of like, maybe it's getting a little hot around him. Maybe he hit a footstep, so he kind of evades and doesn't wait for his guys to get open enough. Yeah. But also that's indicative of what the offensive line has been able to do, right? So I really like Justin Fields, man. I just want somebody to like Justin Fields back and give him everything that he deserves, so he can be the quarterback that I believe that he's capable of being. Because I do think that he could be a really good quarterback in this league.
I mean, I think you summed it up perfectly. I think that's where I'm at. I think that's where a lot of Bears fans are. I think Justin is a great kid. He's a cool dude too, and I got to give him love for like the way he's handled the media. Like there's a lot of dumbass questions that have been asked, and there's sometimes I'll be sitting in the room after the game, and I'm not gonna name him, I'm not singing anybody out, and I'll be like, what kind of fucking question is that? Like, and so so I give him, he's 24 years old. Like I can only imagine dealing with the shit of Chicago media that he has to deal with in the way he's done with. I mean, we saw guys like Derrick Rose in basketball. It was hard for him to deal with it sometimes. Derrick doesn't really talk. Justin don't really talk. So I give him credit for that, but I do hope that, I personally, I switch every week. So if you ask me, I think they're going with Caleb Williams. But last week I thought this Justin. I'm pretty sure we're gonna be doing this back and forth the next couple months, boy.
Hey, real quick though.
You say one last follow up before we get you out of here?
Yeah, one last follow up because it just came to me talking about Caleb, and it comes to mind that Caleb might not be from Baltimore, but he's from the area, he's from the district. He went to Gonzaga Prep. So, what are your thoughts on Caleb Williams and the possible fit with the Chicago Bears?
Caleb Williams is a guy that I really like. Caleb Williams. I watched him play, at Oklahoma. Obviously, he went to USC with Lincoln Riley. I mean, I'm a big college football fan, so I watch a lot of college football on the weekend. So there's guys that I kind of have an idea of who I really like and who I don't. And so I think from a talent perspective, Caleb Williams is absolutely what it is that you are looking for. And so I think that what the Bears might be thinking is that, okay, well, we think that Justin Fields is fine, but this dude can just do just a little bit more with less. And that's probably why they'd be more inclined to bring in Caleb Williams and then trade, Justin Fields where he needs to go, right? I love the way that Justin Fields plays. I mean, at times, he got his Josh Allen in him. Don't get it twisted, right? Like he do some shit.
Oh,
You
yes,
be like,
he does. Yes, he
you
does.
be like, well, what was that?
I'll be yelling like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Right?
Like,
You'll be like, well, what's going on? But you know what though? I think that it's a fair assessment for us to say that the reason why he's like that is because he has to overcompensate for how bad that defense was at USC. Because I probably could have had my son team out there playing offense so they wouldn't have stopped them. And my son, when his 13 and under team, when he went to the little national championship, they can't stop a nosebleed. So it's very possible, right, that he's pressing and over pursuing and overcompensating because he knew he had to put up 48 points at minimum in a game because they're going to give up at least 45, right? Maybe more. So you would like to think that hopefully he don't have PTSD when he gets to the National Football League and feel like he have to do everything, because you don't. And it's not your responsibility too. Like you literally can now got a GM, and I think that the Bears in a nice position in terms of salary cap. Y'all can go out and get something. Well, you did pay what's his name from the
Montez Sweat.
Montez Sweat from the Commanders. You did pay him a lot of money, but you can go out and get some more guys on defense. You don't have to overcompensate anymore and make stupid mistakes, because as a rookie, if he does the shit that he did at USC in the league, a lot of that shit gonna be picked. And so he's gonna
100%.
You don't want him to learn the hard way though, right?
Yeah.
You want him to kind of get into that type of flow. So I hope if he does become a Chicago Bear, I think it'll be fine. I know people think that Caleb, and I already know my friend over there don't love Caleb Williams. So I'm curious to know how you feel about this Caleb Williams potential draft. Because I know you don't love Caleb.
I'm not a big Caleb guy. I this weekend I just wanted to stop. I don't care who the quarterback is. I just want to stop the Bears not playing in January. I feel like Caleb is a talent. And this kind of goes back to what you were saying, what we've all been saying. It's about structure. I'm not confident in the Bears structure that Caleb can really go the way he wants. And also this fan base, and I know all fans are crazy, but Chicago Bears fans are a different level of stupid. And I say this on my Bears podcast every damn week. Like they will tell you things that you see in your own eye that you ain't seeing. And I feel like Caleb is going to have so much pressure. Like you got the normal number one pick pressure. You're coming to a franchise that is quarterback thirsty. We've never had a great quarterback. The greatest quarterback we've had while there was color TVs is Jay Cutler. And that tells you everything you know. I still got PTSD from watching Jay Cutler interceptions. They come at the worst time. So
he got Jay Cutler in him too.
And that's my fear. I'm out here. I live out here in LA. I watched every quarter of USC football this year with him in there. And this is a Laker town. This is a Dodger town. They love SC. Don't get me wrong. They love SC. But the scrutiny that he got here is going to be nothing. It's going to be nothing. I can see that first pick that Jaya Alexander takes is probably going to be on Sunday Night Football because the NFL loves putting us out on in front of the company. And the scrutiny that's going to come. That's more than anything. I hope he's mentally strong because he's stepping into a world he has no idea of what it's going to be. But Reeta, we appreciate you for joining us. We definitely want to have you back on if the Ravens do make the Super Bowl. I'm rooting for that to happen. I want Roquan to get one. I want Roquan to get one. I'm very happy for, and also and John Harbaugh is one of my favorite coaches. I feel like he doesn't get the credit that he deserves, especially with tailoring the team around Lamar. So definitely want to have you back on Super Bowl week if you guys do make it. Let everybody know where they can get in tune with you, where they can follow you, and everything you got going on.
So thank you all for having me. And hey, Courtney girl.
Hi.
So I get an opportunity to say hey. That's my baseball girl right there.
We're locked in.
So at the NFL Chick, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Gridiron Gals as well. That's my best friend Chels and I. We do a podcast. And then I'm on 105.7 The Fan every Wednesday night. From 6 to 9 p.m. Although this week I'll be on Thursday from 6 to 9, but usually every Wednesday. And then when the season ends, it'll be every Wednesday and Sunday. We'll be on from 1 to 4 on Sundays and then 6 to 9 on Wednesdays. So check me out if you can. Thanks y'all for having me.
No doubt. Definitely good to talk to you. We will get back in tune with you soon.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
No doubt. We're going to move into our next conversation. I think it's kind of like we've been talking about just a minute ago. With QBs. I want to talk about the kind of like the franchise QB conundrum just in the NFL. My guy Jason Goff of NBC Sports Today, he tweeted something last night that really had me want to talk about this conversation. I think a lot of it has to go into the Justin Fields, Caleb Williams conversation, but just on a broader perspective, what we saw from Dak Prescott this weekend. We saw from Tua this weekend of how many quarterbacks are the guys. I just want to read what Jason said last night. He said 4 teams have the dude in quotations. The rest of y'all are fooling yourselves. Coach and play accordingly until you develop the dude. He also put first time I heard the rookie deal theory for the quarterbacks was when Russell Wilson was coming of age. And as soon as Marshawn and Legion and Boom was disbanded due to cost and locker room philosophy shift, what happened? It's okay to admit that you don't have what you thought. And I feel like a lot of teams, to me, this is kind of like even with the 3-point conversation in the NBA, where you shoot all these amount of 3-pointers, but you don't really have the personnel to be doing that. I want to go, Courtney, I want to go to you first. What's just your opinion on like how quarterbacks are judged? And should, coaching be developed more about, okay, we know that he's probably not that guy, so we're going to still, tailor the game around him. What do you think about how, should there be a way to be changed? Should we go back to signing the veteran and sitting these young guys? What do you feel about that conversation?
I don't really know if I have the strongest thoughts on this, mainly because I don't think that the quarterback position will ever get to a point where it's kind of like the running back. Like running backs aren't getting paid anymore, right?
No.
That's not going to happen with the quarterback. But we're seeing now that with this season, especially because of how many starting quarterbacks got hurt and how many of the incidents of the next guy up did kind of, for at least, it was a flash in the pan. Think like Tommy DeVito, Jake Browning. It was a flash in the pan for sure, but like they stepped in and they filled in the role relatively well, so giving these guys big contracts, I feel like to a degree it might get harder and harder to justify it, but I don't know, man. We see that the Packers have a pretty solid formula going for them right now, where they always kind of have the next man just chilling in the rafters. What a luxury that is. And that's honestly what it is. It's a luxury. I wish other teams, including my own, could learn something from that.
But even you had a Hall of Fame quarterback for a decade. I would kill just to have somebody like whoever. Mikey, I'm gonna go to you next, brother. We had this conversation every goddamn day. I feel like, what do you feel about like how we view quarterbacks in today's era, pretty much?
I mean, it's how we view music. It's how we view movies. It's how we view everything. It's a microwave society. Like, it goes back to your brother's point. There's no patience. Um, and now like we're seeing it with the franchise that we follow, the Chicago Bears. They want to one of the main points of them moving on too is what is everybody saying? The resetting the rookie contract. It's become a financial thing. And if you just look around the league, there aren't many good starting quarterbacks, let alone many good starting quarterbacks that will allow a rookie quarterback to come in and sit for a year or two and and by that time and develop. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to think about it. Like, yes, they drafted Jordan Love. The Packers drafted Jordan Love. They had Aaron Rodgers. What the fuck did Aaron Rodgers do that year? After that same year they drafted Jordan Love, he went and won a fucking MVP. You know what I'm saying? So like it was okay. Like, well, we got Aaron Rodgers, so we just got to sit. We just got to sit him. You know, we just got to sit him and let him keep going. So there's not a many. Look around the league. Steelers, a team that's in the playoffs right now, they're playing with a backup. The Browns, we're playing with a backup. Like there's no room to allow a quarterback to grow. So I just think we're going to continue to be in this microwave era, especially, you know, as the salary cap goes up and these contracts go up. You know, who's the next quarterback that's up for a big contract? You know, well, who's the next big one? Is it Tua? Is it Tua? And that
Tua.
one, yeah. It's Tua. And if you look at it, they have, you know, I'm down here in Miami, they have a real tough decision. They might just pick up the 5th-year option and then and delay it, you know, like they might not be all the way sold on them. So it's just real. It's just the times that we live in right now. Fans are fickle, owners are fickle. They want the bang for their buck ASAP. They see CJ Stroud, they see Joe Burrow, and they think that shit happens all the time, but they don't realize like the last time that shit happened was like 13, 14 with Russell Wilson. That was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's tough. And it's tough for us fans because we see it on Twitter and we see how anxious the fan base are, how everybody's arguing with each other and everybody thinks they know the way. And there's no clear cut way on how to go about, you know, developing a quarterback.
I want to say
Mikey,
this.
hold on real quick. I want to respond to that real quick. Part of that is the part of the reason of that is because of how the contracts are made in the first place. See, if this was, you know, before the rookie scale contract, then you'll probably see teams stay with quarterbacks longer because you've paid them that money and you'll mess up your salary cap. Like, let's look, for example, you know, not Matt Stafford, excuse me, Sam Bradford, because I think Sam Bradford was the last quarterback before the rookie scale. Once the rookie scale happened, you only got like 3 or 4 years to say that this is the kid for you, especially when you have a team like the Eagles who ended up winning a Super Bowl before you really had to throw out big money for your quarterback. So with this rookie scale thing, I know it made some of the vets happy that you were not paying a quarterback an absorbent amount of money, because imagine if that was still going on, you will see quarterbacks coming out the gate getting the Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow type deal currently right now. But because you can take time to make the money, that means you can get rid of them before you have to pay them, instead of paying them and have to be stuck with them like some teams have been. So for a situation like the Bears or whatever like that, or some other quarterbacks that are on that like Tua that you're debating on whether you pay them or not. The reason why these are going on because they're not getting their money. So now you're not taking the time to develop them. You're getting them in and you're getting them out. And that, to me, is dangerous for a player's career.
I want to answer this this question we got in the not question, it's comment in the chat. It says Green Bay QB praise is overrated as well. All the QBs been so good. Great, they won 2 rings in 40 years, man. I swear. Okay, this is one thing Bears fans got to stop. Because I know this is a Bears fan. Like, because first of all, I would sell my firstborn I haven't had yet for 2 championships in 40 years. Just give me one. We gotta stop with this shit. It's like saying, well, oh, Jordan Love be completing easy passes. Nigga, how many times Bears quarterbacks complete easy passes? They don't. They don't. They yes, have they only had 2 championships? He said, I do not like the Bears. Okay, well, I'm thankful that you're good, but I don't understand that. I feel like, you know, a championship is championship. Did they do enough to surround Aaron. Was the Aaron get away with murder with a lot of situations? Same thing, Brett Favre. Brett Favre would throw interceptions into whatever crowd he could. So I feel like there's other stuff that comes with it. But I'm not going to poo-poo on them getting, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Like they're whatever we feel about Aaron Rodgers, he's a top 5 greatest quarterback of all time. Like if we take away all personal feelings I have for him, so yeah, he is great. Brett Favre should be in prison right now, but he's a great quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna, just poo-poo on that,
But
no matter
Scott,
how much I do hate for him. But go ahead,
hey,
man.
Scott, man, it goes back to what I said about that rookie scale. Now things have to go faster in order to get that. I think any team in the NFL would kill for the setup that the Green Bay Packers had, because it shows stability. It's the same that same stat is similar to the Pittsburgh Steelers only having 3 coaches since like 1969. It shows stability. Yeah, you want to win more, but the fact that you got 2 out of all those is still great, because it's hard to win a title in the NFL. But because you have to win fast now, and that's what matters to most fans.
And at the end of the day, there's gonna be 31 fan bases, 31 franchises that are upset at the end of the year. Only 1 year wins. You just want as many cracks at the championship as you can get. So how Bang said, stability at the quarterback position is the number 1 position in all of pro sports. So you get that, then it's easier to kind of shape your team around.
Dante, what's your take on how we look at quarterbacks today?
I mean, it's fucked up because you can't sit here and say that this is one of the ultimate team sports and then put all the praise and all the blame on one guy. And that's what we see happen far too often with quarterbacks. They get all the praise when the team is doing great. They get all the hate when somebody's losing. But at the end of the day, I feel like these teams also don't put in the teams that struggle to have consistency at the quarterback position. They struggle to develop quarterbacks. We talk about Green Bay. Like you said, they've drafted their new quarterback while they've had an MVP on the roster twice now. We've seen it twice. And also, this is another reason why you got to really tip your cap to LaFleur, because, he was trying to get off of Aaron Rodgers. He was like, yo, no, I know what I'm doing. I can call plays. And one of the detriments, like I just said about a quarterback getting all the praise, it makes you forget, like, this is a team thing. Like, there's a lot going on. There are a lot of moving parts in order for this to work. And so the Packers, you got LaFleur, he sat there for 3 or 4 seasons, however long it was, and he just coached up Jordan Fields. But when you have egos that get involved, when you have coaches who, I didn't draft this guy, so he's not my guy, then that is a detriment to the quarterback. And so you have situations where that's often the case, like with the Bears. Like we've seen this shit 3 times in a row now, where you tie quarterback to a coach that, the seat may be hot. I know obviously we don't think Fluce's seat is hot as other people think, but God forbid they do flame out this year and then you get rid of Fluce, then what? Now you're back doing the same shit again. So with this position, bro, for me, it makes no sense to not load your team up first and then get a quarterback. I know a lot of people say you shouldn't do it like that, but when you look at the way you want, to JR's point, the way you want your quarterback to succeed out the gate now, I can't bring you to a team that got 7, 8 holes on it. I got to bring you to a team that, look at Philly. They bring in Jalen Hurts. You already had the receivers. You have to surround them with talent so that when they are inconsistent, when they don't do everything that you want them to do, you can overcompensate for it with the rest of your team, because we got other people that are strong in other areas that's going to keep us going. So it's really crazy to see now. But the money does have a major part to it. JR hit the nail on the head with that, because that changes every conversation. Like if I give you 180 out the gate, then people might say, all right, well, let's sit there and let's make sure his development is right. So when we put him out on the field, he don't make a fool out of himself. Whereas now is, hey, bro, you making $9 million a year. I done put this money in other areas. Go out there and make it shake. Like, we're going to let you take your lumps out the gate. But no, I think the Packers have the formula. I think that is the right formula. It's always been the right formula. And unless you have a system in place where you can bring in a rookie quarterback and have everything there to allow him to succeed, then they should be sitting these dudes down for like at least a year and letting them learn the offense. We talk about how hard offense is in the NFL. These dudes, you should be having them in there so they can learn the system, learn the terminology. They say it takes a year to learn all the terminology from the NFL offense. So for us to have these guys learning on the fly, as opposed to like, all right, bro, we're gonna sit you here, you get it right, and then we can put you out there. And then if it don't work, we can make something else shake. It's a tricky situation, and it's not gonna change anytime soon as long as the contracts are structured the way that they structure.
I want to answer this question real quick. Shout out to Dirt McGirt in the chat. He says, now with that being said, what's to be said about these QBs and franchises who have great records every year but can't win, i.e. Dallas and Green Bay? At what point does winning it all actually matter? I mean, that's a good question. I think all that has to go back to what we've been saying: front offices, supporting staffs, coaching. You can give blame. This is actually a good segue into our wild card conversations we'll have in the last 25 minutes before we wrap this up. It's a lot of things that go into winning in the NFL. And also the NFL is not like the NBA or Major League Baseball, NHL, where you get multiple cracks at the apple. It's win and get in, one and done. I mean, we had a team that was as well coached up as ever, a team that you can argue, even though they lost the Super Bowl, is probably the greatest team ever assembled, and that is the 2007 New England Patriots. To this day, I have never seen an offense that electric, and that includes these Patrick Mahomes offenses. Tom Brady and Randy Moss. I can still see that first touchdown, the Brady to Moss over Darrelle Revis. It was just a different kind of show, but because it's a one-game thing, sometimes another team just gets the best of you. Now, Dallas, I feel like just needs to rebuild the whole thing, and some quarterbacks just aren't that guy, and Dak isn't that guy. Dak is a very talented. Mike, we had this conversation before about, is Justin Fields a win of because of guy, or is he you need everything around him guy? Dak is proven that he is a win. You need guys around him. And I'm not putting 100% on the blame on Dak. A lot of that got to go to Mike McCarthy as well. Jordan Love. Jordan Love is the example of a guy who's not as talented as Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Jordan Love. But Jordan Love has the better coach. He has the better scheme. Just the way the game is so much easier. Dante, you talked this. Matt LaFleur has showed that I'm one of them niggas. And I've been wanting to get Aaron Rodgers out of here to show y'all I'm one of them guys. They even said in the locker room last night, there's something different about that team. Oh, I wonder what's different. You don't have a cap holding anti-vaxxer in your QB room anymore. Who got to wear a murder more times than anything. There was plenty times in games, even during the Mike McCarthy era, that Aaron wasn't bringing it up to par the way he's supposed to, and the coach gets the blame. So to answer that question, I think a lot of it has to do with situation.
And real quick, not only situation, we have to remember that every ownership group has a different definition of winning.
Yep.
Like we as fans are always championship or bust, but the reality is on the business side, that's not how they look at sports at all. Like that is not how any of these owners look at sports.
Low key, some owners would rather just consistently go to the playoffs than win a title, because then when you win the title, bonus checks, come expectations.
Jerry Reinsdorf said bonuses and all that stuff. Jerry Reinsdorf said the best. Just do enough. But let's we're gonna take these last 20 minutes before we get up out of here, 25 minutes before we get up out of here. We're gonna talk about a little bit of the wild card round. Now we already talked about the Dallas Cowboys, so we not be talking about them unless Courtney you had any more smoke to give out. Are you done delivering smoke, or is you're good to go?
I got nothing else to say.
Was this the worst wild card weekend ever? I mean, there was some bad football. Like I only watched one game front to back, and that was the Detroit Rams game. I actually want to go to Mikey first, because me and Mikey had like a conversation we talked about this all the time, where where something happens in the NBA, where all the blowouts. This past Thursday, I have never seen in my over 25 years of watching NBA on TNT them turn from the game that was on TV into a game that was on NBA TV. They went away from Celtics Bucks, which the Celtics didn't play the starters in the second half. Like they gave up on that. I'm pretty sure that made Adam Silver happy, and they went to Knicks. Mavericks. Even see that was a crazy hit on as I'm seeing in this game. But even if you look what the NBA did, the MLK Day, the fucking Hawks like up 35 right now. Like, so Mikey, do you think is it the NFL can get away with bad games and the NBA can't? Like, what do you think about that? And was this wild card weekend as bad as people making out to be?
Well, the difference between the two is you got load management in the NBA, where in NFL, you just got people that are hurt. Like, for example, like the Browns, like Joe Flacco was on the couch watching our pod, you know what I'm saying, a couple months ago. Like, he wasn't even in the league, and now he's brushed into action. So I don't know if it was the worst ever, because we're probably forgetting some games. But I sure as fuck during that Dolphins-Chiefs game, I told my girl, like, all right, if the Dolphins don't score here, it's your night the rest of the night. We can watch a fucking movie. And that's rare because it's the playoffs. I honestly, I think this is the one thing, and I think we probably all can agree on, no matter how much Courtney hates the Cowboys, I was shocked by that game. That's the one game that really shocked me on how out of hand it got. It was 27-0 before the sun went down. And it was a 4:30 kickoff. So I was like, wait, what the fuck is happening? So, the NBA gets away with it because there's 82 of them. The NFL really doesn't, it's going to keep going. What did we say? It was, what you say, $26 million streams
23
for
million.
for a game that didn't warrant it. If you would have told me the Lions-Rams game was on Peacock and they got 20, I would say, yes, that was a really entertaining game from front to back. That Dolphins-Chiefs game was fucking ass. The best thing out of the Texans-Browns game was just seeing C.J. Stroud do what he did. The Browns were ass. Their defense didn't travel. Joe Flacco reverted back to what he was that got him out of the league, and then the Cowboys game was just a shocker. So this game is already 14-0. I don't know if it's going to get any better. So now we're hoping for a close one on Eagles-Bucks. So I said all that just to say, shit, you might be right. This might be one of the worst.
I think that, to me, like the NFL can't get away with this. And I said the NFL can't get away with this because of just how, the word I feel like we've been using is addiction. It's an NFL addiction. Remember the old phrase, the Major League Baseball is America's pastime. No, nigga, it's the NFL. Like, and we see that every day. They can get away with shit. They can get away with stinkers like this. If the NBA does a stinker like this in the playoffs, everybody gonna like fuck Adam Silver. David Stern wouldn't allow this. I'm not gonna lie. There is a different side to it with that. I want to get Dante Van Courtney. I'm gonna go to Courtney first. Like, what do you think about this weekend? Was it a bad football weekend to you, or like?
I had a great time. I don't know what the fuck y'all complaining about. I had so much fun. Especially like, first off, I can't say that nobody had CJ Stroud and the Texans winning, but like it was a whole lot of Joe Flacco meat riding that was happening going into this weekend. So I'm happy for the kid. I'm really happy for the Texans. They're really playing with house money right now because nobody had them going this far. First off, no one had them even making it into the playoffs this season, let alone getting out of the wild card weekend and heading into the next round. So good for them. I do think that run will likely come to an end this weekend, but it was a good run. I like the drama. I don't know what y'all are complaining about. You know what? Actually, I know exactly why y'all are complaining. Y'all are complaining because y'all are like the Squidward meme where he's up in his house and SpongeBob and Patrick are running and having fun outside.
Exactly.
Y'all are impoverished Bears fans.
Exactly.
I mean, all four of your teams are at the house too. Like, let's be real now. I don't see the Saints. I don't see the Saints. I don't see the Jets out there.
Hey, leave me out of this.
Dante, did you even see any football this weekend, or you were too busy golfing with Amara Rashad?
No. Hold on.
This nigga exiting himself out.
Exiting that out, fucking with you. But no, I did. I definitely saw some games. I think the wild card weekend usually gives us this. Like, it's not guaranteed that we always gonna get great games. And I think with the NFL, because we love it so much, we shoot them out of bail and we just hype everything like it's the greatest shit ever. And like, don't get me wrong, like prime example, like this first game is probably gonna get out of hand very quickly, but we're gonna sit here and watch it. Like, we'll talk about it after the fact. Whereas with the NBA, and Mikey made a great point here, 82 games, bro. That's a lot of fucking games. Just like with baseball, 162 games. That's a third of the year, bro. That's a lot of fucking games. Whereas with football, you got 16 weeks.
Also, just for an update for the folks watching at home, the Bills are up 14-0 on the Steelers with 3 minutes left in the first quarter.
And they're about to get the ball back again as Pittsburgh about to punt. Bane, do you think we shoot the NFL too much, Bill?
Nah, because there's action on every play. That's the difference between the NFL and hockey and basketball. Like, you can go up and down the court and somebody don't score for about 5 minutes. You can watch football and somebody will still get smacked. Somebody will still get punched in the mouth. Somebody will still get hit. There's action on every play. So that's the difference between football compared to any other sport. So could the games have been better? Yeah, but we also know that these games right here tend to be the games where, the 6th seed might have backed into the playoffs. So, or a team is probably not as good as their record suggests. So because of that, we probably going to get one. So we shoot the bell there. Now, next week, if them games huff, then we have a conversation. Especially the way things now, we're adding the extra team. This reminds me of the NBA style that was to win the first 3 out of 5 games. And how sometimes those went quick or they wasn't as good as they used to. But then when you get to the semifinals and the finals, then it's lit. So that's my thought.
I feel like, if we look at, these next couple games, I kind of want to talk about the Miami Dolphins real quick. And Mike, you can tell us more because you live in Miami. Who deserves more to blame this week? Because I feel like anybody who's paid attention to the Dolphins this season, especially these last couple of weeks, we saw this shit coming. There was no part of me, no matter how much the Chiefs were struggling, that I actually think that Tua and them was gonna come into Arrowhead in that crazy weather and win this football game. Who's more to blame here? Is it Tua? Is it a Mike McDaniel? Mikey, what's your opinion? And really, what are they saying in Miami? What is Streets Miami saying right now?
Well, let's go back to what we were saying in October and early November. We were talking about were the Dolphins just bum killers. So are we really shocked, that the Dolphins really showed us who they were the whole time? If they can't run the ball, then all that motion and shit, it does nothing. It does nothing, especially in those elements. Now, I got people hitting my phone talking about, are you guys going to let Justin Fields, go? Like, maybe he can be a Dolphin. And it's just so funny to me how everybody wants to shit on Justin Fields when he's a Bear, but now they want him on their franchise. So, I'll just say this. If Justin Fields was somehow to end up on the Dolphins, there's that is ridiculous with the amount of speed on that
real
field.
Quick,
but
real quick, yeah, Mikey, because I agree with you, and I know y'all said he was talking out his ass, but Mel Kiper mentioned the Dolphins as one of those teams that would be interested in Justin Fields. But go ahead.
Oh no, that would be that would be something that's fucking lights out, to be honest. Because you got to look at it. I don't think they believe that Tua is the long-term answer at quarterback. Obviously, there's durability concerns. Even if you take Justin Fields into that game at Arrowhead on Saturday night, he at least has a strong enough arm to push it through the elements. Tua has a fucking noodle. Pause. So I don't think you could win with Tua long term. And let's be honest with the Dolphins and let's give them everything. They lost Bradley Chubb. They lost Phillips. They were really banged up on defense.
Yeah.
They were really banged up on defense. So I think it's just gonna have to be an adjustment. Mike McDaniel, I like where he's ascending as a play caller and as an offensive coach, but they need a little bit more out of their quarterback for when it comes down to it. And at the end of the day, this was all self-inflicted because they should have no business losing that game to the Titans. They had no business losing to the Titans on Monday Night Football. And that's basically the difference of hosting a game and playing on the road where it's fucking negative 15 degrees.
Yep.
I think, I'm gonna go to Bang right after this. I just want to say this about Tua, and this is why I'm not gonna put too much blame on Tua. And it's not Tua is who he is, bro. Like I said, when we talk about the quarterback conversation, we gotta know what these guys are. Tua he's good in certain situations. There was no chance this nigga was ever going to win that game. We know he's not that good of a deep passer. We know that, Jalen Waddle was hobbled. We know that defense wasn't what it was because of the injuries. And the Chiefs defense is a really good unit, the best unit I've seen in the Patrick Mahomes era. And I just didn't expect him to do that. I'm blaming more on Mike McDaniel because I don't feel like the plays were there to help Tua enough. And even though we know Tua doesn't have the best arm sometimes you just got to say fuck it when your season's on the line. Like there was a lot of play calls that Mike McDaniel had that he was calling like the season went on the line. And that was something too we're also going to talk about with Detroit in a minute in the LA game. I feel like Sean McVay did a little bit of that too, where it's like you got to be more aggressive when the season is on the line, and he didn't do the best job to me of putting Tua in the best position to win. So I would put more of the blame on McDaniels more than Tua. Bang, what you think about that?
I don't know, but these motherfuckers better not have fumbled again.
Why do you have money on the Steelers?
I ain't got money on the Steelers.
Okay, all right.
I'm just saying they might have fumbled again. Like just fall down with the ball. God damn. But nah, man. I don't know. And the reason why I say I don't know is because it's one of those situations, just like with Justin Fields. I think Tua is a capable quarterback. And there's some things that you just need to do in order to make sure that your quarterback is good. But I also believe that they had not one goddamn chance to win in Kansas City with that weather. They are a warm climate team. So I don't want to overthink this game right here because the elements, like if this happened in Miami, or if the weather was nice, I think it's a different conversation. With that being said, Mikey just threw me all the way off. I mean, not Mikey, excuse me. Dante just threw me all the way off with that Justin Fields to, Miami should look at Justin Fields shit. The reason why it throws me all the way off because, they make you believe that anybody in the Miami organization, including Kyle Shanahan, did not want to touch Justin Fields when he was available to get picked instead of Trey Lance. But now more than the Niners. Yeah. But what I'm saying is they make you believe that nobody wanted to be a part of getting him when he was available and they drafted Trey Lance. However, it just feels like to me that everybody in that organization that leaves is almost like, or that type of offense is like, oh, let's see if we could go get Justin Fields. So that's why that threw me off. Was like, wait a minute, I thought people didn't necessarily want to touch him because of the offense, but now you want to bring him in. That just threw me all the way off when you said that. But I don't want to back the Tua. I'm not blaming Tua for a cold ass game and the situation that he's in, especially when some of your wide receivers was dropping passes and shit too. Like, I'm not about to blame you for that.
Courtney, are you shooting Tua any bill, or who's on this side?
Beyond my Bama loyalty, I will have to say that Tua is not in the best situation, right? When you get like 2.5 seconds to throw the ball, you're in a one-read offense because you don't even have time to get a second look. It's not a good situation. It's also not a good situation when you run the ball 18 times and Raheem Mostert is getting you maybe 4 yards per carry. It's not a good situation. As far as what they should do next, I don't think Tua is the long-term solution, but I also know that Mike McDaniel loves Tua. Does he love him enough to put his own neck out there? Hell no. But I do think that that's the pairing we're going to see for at least another season, at least another 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think that I don't think they're moving off of Tua. I feel like they have too much invested in him. I think that, this is something where they're going to have to, I think they're at least going to ride out for at least another year and see what they got. But it wouldn't surprise me. Nothing in the NFL surprises me when people move on from quarterbacks. But I don't think they're ready to move on just yet. And I even think
going to get rid of another black head coach. That's crazy.
Exactly. And it's like, and Mike, it's kind of like what you said too about the defensive injuries they had. That's something also that the front office might be like, okay, well, we didn't have our full complement of guys either. Dante, did you have a take on this, or we can move on to the next?
Nah, man, it was fucking freezing out there. Like, it was really nothing that Tua was going to be able to do. As much as you hate to say that, because Pat Mahomes also had to play in those conditions. But, at the end of the day, with that offense, a real gimmicky offense, you knew that in that type of weather, they were going to be slowed down. The timing was going to be thrown off. So it was set up for them to fail. So I don't really want to play the blame game here. I just think that as a team, and Mike McDaniel wouldn't want to play the blame game because he's going to take half of the responsibility himself. But we've seen about the way that team does business. They all know they fucked up that game. That's on everybody.
I think this. think it would be a quick question for everybody. Did we learn anything from the Kansas City Chiefs this week? Like, was there
No.
anything that I don't think there's anything I learned from the Chiefs. I think the only thing that came out of this was, Pat's still gonna be fighting for his life if it's against a good team. Like, I really want to see. It looks like Buffalo's gonna hold on to this game,
and listen. This is the interesting one right here for me.
Yeah.
Because I got Josh Allen. I hate to say it, he might be excising his demons. And if you're gonna beat Kansas City, this is the season to do it.
At home.
And I honestly think we're gonna see it with both teams that were in the Super Bowl last year. I think the Eagles find a way to sneak out a win against the Bucs this week, but next week they get sent home, and I think the same with the Chiefs. I just think they're just delaying the inevitable, and they were able to play one more week.
I feel like we've given enough love to the Packers on today. I had that on
Yeah,
my
fuck them, man. Fuck them. We're done with that. Y'all, hey man, so everybody knows Courtney over here. Woo, loving the Cowboys. Hey, I had to leave the group chat.
Cowboys. How y'all feel about the Packers is how I feel about the Cowboys.
Mikey legitimately left the group chat.
I had to leave the group chat because I just couldn't take it.
So dramatic. So dramatic.
Let's talk about unfortunately, actually no, before we go, we're gonna close with them. So there's two more topics. Let's talk about one, the Texans. Courtney, you said there was a lot of people giving Joe Flacco too much. I was one of those people. I said on the show on Friday that I wanted to pick the Texans, but the reason I didn't is because I should have. The reason I didn't is because that Browns defense put the fear of God in me. But that Browns defense obviously didn't board the plane to Houston, Texas, because they were just non-existent. And on top of that, Joe Flacco also showed you that, Joe Flacco can be elite and can play well. Joe Flacco can also turn the ball over. He did that like a motherfucker. But CJ Stroud, man, and this is the conversation we be having on NFL Twitter about not just NFL Twitter, but just Twitter in general, revisionist history. What CJ is doing right now, I'm not saying that CJ wasn't good at Ohio State. He was. He was the number 2 pick for a fucking reason. But I've heard many nights where my brother would cuss this motherfucker out. Many nights I was there when he was like CJ ain't shit. Like, he good. He ain't no Justin. He ain't no who's the other guy who was there before him? Was it Haskins?
Yeah.
Ohio State quarterback.
RIP.
Yeah, RIP. He be like, he ain't them. So like, he was good. He had flashes. I think his best performance was in that game. I think it was against Georgia last year. And I feel like from there he's taken off. But there's too many people out there acting like everybody was just on the CJ Stroud train. No, a year ago, motherfucker was on TV. And look at me, I'm gonna go to solo mode here. Look at me when I tell you this. There's people up there calling Bryce Young the football Steph Curry. There's people that, if you draft CJ Stroud, you might lose your job. I heard all them conversations last year. So let's not sit up here and act like, certain teams didn't see it. No, he was good, but sometimes you just have a mix of good coaching, good
dip on your chip,
and also a guy who's just, is taking it to a next level, what you're seeing. And you add to what you're seeing with the Nico Ryans, their offensive coordinator has been drawing up good plays for them. And the defense has been coming together. Will Anderson has had a very, I feel like, low-key season. I didn't even know he had 7 sacks till 2 weeks ago and already had the Texans record. And that's saying a lot when you have, guys like, J.J. Watt and guys like Jadeveon Clowney who were in that organization before. That says a lot to them. So I'm going to go to Dante first, man. What do you think about kind of like the revival that they're having in Houston right now? And it felt like a year ago when Smubby Smith screwed them out of that pick. They came out on top, and they're even further than the team that got the pick.
Muted.
You were on mute, brother.
It feels like they made the right hires. The people that they put in the positions of power to make these important decisions have made the correct decisions. And, I think for everything that they went through with, number 4 up in Cleveland, and this is a franchise that we all looked at like, what's really going to happen now. And they've been able to really build this thing from the ground up. And I think, bringing in someone like D'Amico Ryans, who was familiar with the area, familiar with the franchise, that was key. That was very important. And they've helped to, build this culture around CJ and Will Anderson. And so I love what I'm seeing. It's funny. Since the Texans were created, they had the same amount of, I think they had one more playoff win in the Dallas Cowboys. It's like 5-4, some shit like that. Yeah. So that's really interesting. But CJ Stroud, man, like you said, we all thought he was gonna be good, but nobody felt like that Carolina made the wrong move by not taking Bryce. And so, like, now they're getting bashed for it, but that's really a testament to CJ and everything he's done and the work he's put in and how he has really shown you, that he, like he said in the combine, like, just building on everything he did at Ohio State. Like, he's a quarterback. He plays the game the right way. Love everything you see from him. And I think the sky's really the limit with that franchise. And, much like the Bears, they set themselves up for the future with the trades they made and, having 2 first-round picks in this year's draft. And I think they still got some draft capital left over. So it's going to be a good thing as long as they can keep, bringing the right people in there. And you can see people buying into everything that they do.
Courtney, I know you hate the other team in Texas, but what do you feel about this team in Texas?
Oh, no. Listen, I am all aboard the CJ Stroud train. Number 7 has my full unabashed support. I am a little disappointed that I went to that first Browns-Texans matchup and I didn't get to say, well, I mean, listen, it's not like that one was a much better game. Right. I am disappointed I didn't get to see number 7 in the flesh, though. But no, I'm all about it. I love D'Amico Ryans. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Mikey, you were one of the people who said the Bears passed on CJ Stroud. Do you still feel the same? And what do you think about this whole little revolution they got out there in Houston?
I don't know if they didn't pass on him because let's be real, like what you said, everybody was going to take Bryce Young number 1. So CJ Stroud was never on the radar. It's the same as this year. Let's be real. They could say Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams could have a shit year, and Drake May or Jaden Daniels kill it. And we're going to say we passed on that. Like, no, at the end of the day, nobody is talking about them going number 1. They're talking about Caleb Williams going number 1, and everybody was talking about Bryce Young going number 1. It's crazy. Like Dante said, the piggybacker, when you get the right people to run your organization, you get D'Amico Ryans, you give D'Amico Ryans, a first-time head coach, the opportunity to run his own defense, to run his own organization. Obviously, he's somebody with strong principles. His guys rally around him. They believe in him. He's young, so he's not like an older coach where he can't relate to the players. And, last year they went ahead and they got both sides of their team in order. They went and got CJ Stroud, and they went and traded back up to get Will Anderson Jr. on the other side. And then in the same draft, in the same night, they asked CJ Stroud, who do you want as wide receiver? Who do you want to run with you for the next couple of years? And he said, I want Tank Dell. And they took his actual fucking advice. Mm-hmm. And I just, that's what you like to see. I don't know how far this run can go, but CJ Stroud is playing amazing. And it's just one of those things where it happens like that. There's going to be a bigger target on their back next year, for them to go ahead and try to keep it up. Now they'll probably be considered favorites to win that division, but that's something that you want. That's what you want. That's what you aspire. And, obviously now the Bears are going into kind of like a similar transition as the Texans. They've decided to keep Eberflus, and now they got to find an offensive coordinator. But this is the year for them with 2 picks in the top 10 to get your quarterback, if that's the decision you choose, and to go ahead and pair him with another playmaker, and and take that person's input and run with it. So shout out to the Texans. I definitely picked them to win, and it's going to be interesting to see them advance.
Before I go to Bang, I just want to say this too about CJ Stroud too. When we talk about quarterbacks, great year this year. I'm really interested to see how it's going to be next year. Because we just saw something with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence was great his rookie year. Leading the team to the playoffs. Had a shit first half, a historically bad first half against the Chargers, but the Chargers going to charge her, and they came back and won. He put up a good thing together. Then this year, he looks like he doesn't even know the offense he's running. So I want to see what it's going to be like when defenses have an entire spring and summer to game plan for him. But I do think it's definitely great to see that man just come out, and just the throws he's been making, it just been crazy. Bang, take us out on this one. Then we're going to have our one last topic, and we're going to wrap this up. What you feel about everything they got going on in H-Town?
Well, first of all, you said what I was going to say, part of what I was going to say. Call me next year. I think sometimes we put a lot of these words, and mind you, I was excited when the Texans drafted CJ Stroud. I didn't think we were going to get this, but I thought we was going to see improvement. I wanted the Bears to get Tank Dell. I thought enough of Nico Collins to draft them in one of my fantasy leagues. I was excited about what they were building in Houston and were jealous at that because I am a DeMeco Ryans fan. I thought he was going to be a pretty good head coach. And I thought that they had the makings of building out a pretty decent staff. Just didn't think that we was going to get it this quickly. But now they're going to have a first place schedule next year. Call me when that first place schedule happens and what happens afterwards. Because as we know with the NFL, you can go to the playoffs, you can go to the Super Bowl, but then the next year you can be 3-13. With that being said, I do like what they're building out there. I do think that they have the building blocks for a sustainable future. Plus, they're in a division to make that happen. They're not in the strongest division. We see Trevor Lawrence is out here stealing money a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We need to start a dialogue, and we've been on the forefront of starting that dialogue when it comes to him.
Trick off Trev.
There you go, trick off Trev. You know what I'm saying? I do be making some good nicknames.
You got
that
now
now hearing it.
Yeah, you two for two nicknames. That and Freaky Sean.
Yeah, now hearing it, trick off Trev. Yeah, that was hot. But then you got Anthony Richardson, who we got to see if he's gonna stay healthy or not, if he's just going to run through people and stuff like that. That division right there, the Titans just fired Mike Vrabel, it feels like, for no reason, other than the black GM wanted to pick his own head coach. So hopefully Raheem Morris ends up getting that job because I think he deserves a head coaching job. But that division right there is right for them to own it for the next couple of years. It's going to be also interesting as Bobby Slowick is starting to get head coaching consideration or gets interviews. What happens when he leaves? It's the same thing that I talked about last week with Herb. What happens when that hot offensive coordinator leaves and takes another position? Will you see a step back, or will you see an increased presence, with that quarterback? So they on the right track, but call me next year, once they have a first place schedule and shit like that.
Definitely, man. Last topic of the show, and then we will get y'all back to y'all Dr. King Day relaxation as you can watch another NFL blowout. And by the way, I just want to say this one thing about Dr. King Day. Am I the only? Anybody remember my dear friend Martin? Remember the VHS? Am I showing my age right now?
No, I remember that.
Remember that? Yeah, it was a cartoon, bro. Like niggas
Yeah.
used to watch that shit in grammar school, man. So, but
I did not watch that in grammar school.
Yeah, you got like 5 years on me. That's probably why. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. And I will say this before we move on: do not let white people tell you what Martin Luther King Jr. said when it comes to how you felt about that situation, because they like to point him out like he was just this this pushover, which we get a lot, and they do a lot of that with Muhammad Ali too.
Can we go a step further? Can we go a step further, please? As the resident Morehouse person here.
One thing Morehouse
stop saying
is not arrogant.
I just want to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, please stop saying that man gave his life for the movement. Yeah, he was murdered. He was assassinated. Like he didn't set out with the goal of dying, my nigga. Like he wanted equality. He didn't want to die. So like, let's stop allowing people to use his name and say like, well, he was just this martyr. No, he was taken from us. That was some bullshit. And so, Scott, back to you.
So MLK wasn't like, yo, shoot me, not Jesse, not Ralph Abernathy.
No, he started on Jesse, Mr.
No, I said Ralph Abernathy too. Don't shoot them, shoot me. He wasn't like that.
Jesse, like, let me get in this photo real quick.
Jesse said, let me put the blood on my shirt real quick. Like, we're not going to talk about Jesse. We're not going to talk about Jesse.
Don't get me started on Jesse. Yeah, don't even get me started.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Has anyone asked Jonathan Majors what his thoughts were on the day?
As he marched with Coretta and Dr. King with his hoodie in his side. I just want to say, by the way, hoodie in sweatpants, like wrapped up, wouldn't it? It's not even top 5 weirdest things you're gonna see in West Hollywood on a random ass Wednesday. That's you're not gonna see that. I said Dante just put the kufi on. Dante's like, as a nigga that went to Morehouse.
No, I be, they be pissing me off, bro.
With the whites.
No, that should be pissing me off, bro. They really be trying it, especially on a day like today. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
No, don't do that. And they also be doing that with Muhammad Ali. Y'all didn't like Muhammad Ali, so you can stop talking. Let's just keep it 100% real. But let's wrap this up with this last topic, man. We talk about Dr. King. We even talk about Dr. King. We think about the civil rights here. You think about Motown. You think about one of the good things about it. I won't say one of the good. Let me stop. I love Detroit. Let me stop. I love Detroit. Going to Hitsville was one of the best moments I've had in my life out there. That's if you haven't been to Hitsville Motown Museum, I guarantee you need to go to that spot. As somebody who has
God,
this nigga Bang is losing some money apparently from his reaction. But let's talk about.
You'll see the touchdown that just happened.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Right.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Right.
I'm waiting for this
Josh
to come
Fields.
Right
that's Josh Fields right there.
Why?
They want to go home, bro.
As my iPad is hella slow right now. Okay, with 3rd and 8. Here we go. I know this ain't what y'all talking about. Oh, get the fuck out of here. Oh, get nigga. Yeah, the niggas want to go home. The niggas want to go home, man.
They don't want to play.
But as I was trying to give Detroit some love here, I was just saying I love Hitsville. I love Coney Island. I love Sweetwater Rings in Detroit. I fuck with Detroit. We got to talk about them Lions, man. I know Bang don't want to, but we gonna end the show with that. Talking about the Lions. They won last night 24-23 over the Los Angeles Rams. Jared Goff went 22-27, 277 yards passing, 1 touchdown. David Montgomery, man, I'm happy for Demo. Demo 14 carries, 57 yards, 1 touchdown. Jameer Gibbs also put in 25 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 110 yards receiving. Josh Reynolds, the former Ram, put in 80 yards also. They really spread the ball around last night. That defense was great. Real good stand on that 3rd and 14 towards the end of the game. I really thought that Sean McVay should have went for it. I was surprised he was conservative. We don't really see Sean McVay be conservative. But on the other side, Matthew Stafford did not have a bad game. 25 of 36, 367 yards, 2 touchdowns. Puka Nacua was set the rookie receiving yard. I don't know if it was rookie receiving record or all-time playoff receiving record, but 9 receptions, 181 yards, and 1 touchdown. Arguably should have been that was a flag on that last one, but that was a no call from the offsides call they didn't call a couple quarters earlier. My question is this, and this is not even quite. This is a fear of mine. There's a great chance that not a great chance, but there's a chance that we could have an all NFC North NFC Championship game, and will make me vomit. And honestly, I don't know if I would watch it. To be completely honest with you, it really because I feel like Detroit can beat the Eagles and the Buccaneers. I'm worried about that. But just from giving Detroit's perspective, we talk about rebuilds. They did it the right way. I remember a couple years ago when Man Campbell had that press conference. He was like a Roy head. Like people even taking him seriously. It's not 1987. What kind of football is that? But they've built this up the way you're supposed to build it up. And now they're in this position right now to have a chance to go to the NFC Championship game for the first time since that Barry Sanders-led team. I got to go to Bang first because you said nobody cared about the Lions. I'm going to go to you first. Taking your hate away from the Detroit Lions, what did you see this weekend? About obviously your mind hasn't changed, but what about them that you see that kind of stuck out?
Not a goddamn thing. Like I'm not saying this because of hate either. Not a goddamn thing. They just got an aggressive ass coach, and they went against a team that is just not as good as them. They had pieces like Puka is cold. I did not think that was gonna happen at all. But Matt Stafford got his ass beat that game. I guarantee you that man it had to take some cortisone shots during that game yesterday. Call me this week. Like when they play whoever they gonna play, call me this week. Because I do think that I don't think that they're gonna pass it. Because they head coach got a tendency of thinking he's better than what they are. So he'll fuck it up. He'll mess up a bad head in spades if you let him sometimes. So a game like that and winning it and the excitement they felt for Jared Goff might end up being the shit that fuck them up in the end because they feeling themselves. So Yeah, call me next week. And plus, I don't want to hear about no goddamn Packers versus Lions NFC Championship game. Ain't none of us even think about ever seeing a NFC Championship game that will feature them two teams, let alone the goddamn Lions. So no, oh man, fuck them.
Well, Courtney is shaking her head as soon as I brought it up. Well, she was just like, it's like she wants me to get to better pastures.
Yeah, because this is crazy. Y'all are letting these people live just like rent free, like right here in the old noggin. It's crazy.
I'm trying, but what do you think about the Lions' performance this week?
I don't think about the NFC North at all.
Like, see,
like this is crazy. I haven't thought about the NFC North since like the Pastronaut. Okay, when maybe there was like a little bit of intrigue that like maybe almost all of the teams in that division had like maybe a little something intriguing, but then I don't want to say it, but like there's a certain Chicago-based football team that didn't do what they needed to do against the Packers. So then
you're not lying.
I completely turned that part of my brain off.
You're not lying. You're not. We're responsible for a lot of stuff.
You see this? What little speck of interest and intrigue that I had for that. First off, I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? How dare you learn something from this? Because all I wanted was for the Bears to beat the Packers. I'm not some Packers fan. I can't stand Matt LaFleur's smug little rat face. Sorry if you're listening to this. I'm sorry.
No, we're not sorry. Fuck you. Mikey and Dante.
I can't. So yeah, I'm a little heated that it didn't happen. So that being said, I mean, good for Detroit, I guess. Who cares? Get Eminem off my TV. He stinks. Right.
Yeah, no, keep Eminem. Get rid of Big Sean. Well, anyway,
you saw how they tried to sneak him? Yeah, speaking of, you saw how they tried to sneak him in that Legends photo? I said,
yeah, you're not fooling me.
Big Sean. I saw what you did there.
Mr. Eat the cookie like I'm loose, sis. Get the fuck out of here, man. Like, Mikey, we're gonna go to you, then we'll go to Dante, and we're gonna wrap this thing up. What's your thoughts from this weekend? What happened with the Lions?
I thought it was a really good game, but to piggyback off your comments, Dan Campbell actually outcoached Sean McVay, man. It comes down to the Rams' inability those 3 times that they had to settle for field goals, not scoring 7 there. You lose by 1, the holding call, or the no call on the Puka play, and then them for being forced to punt, they never got the ball back. But good for the Lions. It is what it is, man. I hope that we can have a resurgence like them next year. And now they have a really good pathway to at least make the NFC Championship game and face the winner of the Niners Packers. I think it's going to be Niners. So we're looking at a Niners Lions matchup, and I think it could get ugly for Jared Goff there.
Dante, close us out, brother.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Detroit. Mikey hit the nail on the head. They really did their thing in the red zone, and that's what was the key to victory. You giving up 12 there and not giving up 7 in any of those scenarios is why you won the game. As for the all NFC North potential NFC Championship game, I welcome it because, again, at this point, I need George McCaskey, Mr. I am not a football guy, I am a fan. There has to be something to trigger him. So if you're a fan and you see 2 of the biggest teams in your division in the NFC Championship where your team is still struggling to get shit together, and that don't shake you, nothing will. So I would actually welcome that matchup. I do think they both have a very good opportunity to get there, given who they could potentially face. So, Detroit has done it the right way, and I think Detroit is another example of just because a team says we're committed to running the football doesn't mean they're not going to throw that bitch. Like, they run the ball well, but Jared Goff is still allowed to move the football, and we've seen that offense do some great things. They probably could have had more than 24, but like we said, the Rams definitely should have had more than 23. But still, shout out to Detroit, and that was a solid game, solid victory.
And for anybody who says, "Oh, you just got to hit on the quarterback," I give you Jared Goff, and I will rest my argument on that. There's a lot more that goes into it, man. It's a hell of a week for Michigan. I'm jealous. Y'all niggas won a national championship. Like, y'all niggas like going to the next round of playoffs, and on top of that, the Fab Five back together. Like, the Fab Five reunited. Like they got y'all. It's well documented how I feel about Chris Webber, but it was good to see the Fab Five back together. For that. So crazy week from Michigan, man. But we're going to wrap this up. Shout out to everybody who watched, everybody in the chat on YouTube. Shout out to everybody on Instagram Live watching us right now. A lot of people tuned in on there. Once again, shout out to our homie Reeta for joining us earlier. And there will be no overtime today because it's Dr. King Day, and I'm going to chill. I'm going to watch the rest of this football. We're going to see. I feel like that NFC game tonight got stupid finish alert written all over. Something stupid is going to happen in that Bucs-Eagles game, man. So we appreciate everybody who watches. I will be back Wednesday. If I'm not going to hold you halftime, I'm going to get a little bit more into Caleb Williams' decision, things like that. And I'm also going to recap the 2 games that we had today and get you ready for this weekend. We'll be back on Friday. The whole crew will be back on Friday too. Courtney, are you here on Friday? I don't know if you said you're here on Friday or not.
I don't remember.
We'll talk about. But I know
it might be hockeying. I'm not.
It might be hockeying. It'll at least be 4 of the 5 here, man. So.
No. I'm here. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. There we go. We got the whole squad back again on Friday. We're getting y'all ready for divisional weekend, man. So y'all know to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BarberChair Scott. You can follow the BarberChair Network at BarberChairNet. Subscribe to the Patreon, man. Patreon.com/BarberChair Network. And of course, there you can get everything we have. Overtime, halftime, you get all the YouTube clips first. So check all that out. You can follow JR Bang at JR Bang on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Dante at OctoberZone on Twitter. Follow Mikey at Junior_Solito. And you can follow Courtney everywhere. 1-800-CALLER-BRO. There will be no summer sessions tomorrow. Well, I know y'all asking. Bang, Bang got something to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's a Clipper game tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to that. Don't know if I'm leaving my house to watch even though the Thunder are good, but I don't. The Thunder's.
Oh, nah, you got to go see SGA.
They're in first place.
Come on now. You got to go see SGA.
They're in first place.
They are, but
tied for first, one of the two.
That's about the only team that's worth going to see this year.
And I won't stand for it.
I like SGA.
Crazy.
Is these $70 of Uber fare worth seeing though? That's the question. That's the question you have to face. No, they ain't got nothing about that.
He in the MVP talks, man. It might be.
This is true. I might be in there. Either way, there's a Clipper game there, so Pappy won't be there anyway. So we'll be back next week. Yeah, man. So we up out of here. Shout out to everybody, and we'll holler at y'all on Friday.